Alright, y'all. And without further ado, here comes Reiner again with Kirby's Return to Dreamland. Y'all enjoy.
You can commentate your Leaf Green Nuzlocke while doing this.
I might honestly. I just finished an Emerald Nuzlocke, now I'm this is what I do now apparently.
Alrighty, we're live. We're back again for 2 runs in a row, both Kirby. This is the game I actually prepared for, and even then it's still probably bad. So this is gonna be Kirby's Return to Dreamland 100%, which is getting all the energy spheres, which is a collectible in this Kirby game, and doing all the challenge stages throughout the run, which are unlocked through the energy spheres. So
yeah, this is a hefty speedrun at clocking in almost 3 hours long.
Yep. I'm hoping I can PB. I practiced quite a bit, but I didn't get to prepare at all today. So we'll see. We'll go ahead and start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty. I forgot to pull up splits, so hopefully that doesn't affect me at all. I've had 0 drop frames. Yo.
Yeah, so 100% for this game, as Reiner mentioned, getting all the energy spheres. Most stages will have at least 2, some will have even 4 or 5. And compared to any percent where you pretty much grab wing and 1-1 and you keep it throughout the entire game, there's going to be a lot of ability cycling. You can see nearly every ability in the game that use at least 1 point.
Yeah. So when we're vanilla Kirby, I guess, or normal Kirby, without any abilities, we're going to be trying to use, dash as much as we can, or slide as much as we can, because it's faster. And one of the cool things about this run, in my opinion, is that you can use all the different tech in this game. And like you can see with Cutter, which is an ability you don't see used that much in normal Kirby games, you can actually use its dash move to go faster. Here's Burning. This is one of the faster abilities in this game.
Yep.
And this
so
is the
with
first
fire, you can either side B to Burning, kind of like a Nightmare in Dreamland. You can also do like a Fireball move, which allows you to sort of stick to walls and do short bursts of movement. And it's also pretty good for bosses too. Going into the next room, we're going to be introduced to super abilities. Super abilities are mandatory in a couple of stages if you want to unlock the what are called dimensional rifts, which are pretty much extra stages which allow you to get up to 2 energy spheres. So in any percent you would just skip over these, but they're important for 100%. So we're going to be grabbing Ultra Sword here. I don't actually really want to use it because it has very, very long animations, so Reiner's pretty much going to be going through this stage almost as if he was powerless, until he gets to this big mountain, which is going to shred up with the super sword.
And then the dimensional rift appears, and we get to... What these things do is it takes away our abilities and throws us into a little abilityless section of the game. These levels are some of my favorite in this game.
They're powerless sections, they're pretty diverse, and they've got great music. Essentially, there's a wall closing behind you, so you do have to go fast enough. Usually not going to die from that anyway, but it is very cool gimmick.
You can also get a super suck, or whatever it's called, by shaking the Wiimote, because it's a Wii game. Also, we're going to be going for a quick kill on this boss fight here. Coming up is going to be the Sphere Doomer, which holds...
Alright, you need very specific movement with this Inferno, so you just, you're in the fire state and you hold back, which allows you to turn a ball of fire. Unfortunately missing it.
That was almost a quick kill, but not quite.
So yeah, you're able to ideally kill that Doomer, the boss, before they fly to the back of the stage, which saves a small handful of seconds. And then each of these Doomer and then you can take whatever ability you end the stage with out, so you're gonna keep burning, which is nice. And there's also a tomato at the end.
And that is the first level of the game. Once again, it's a 3-hour long category, so gonna be here for a while. Grab some snacks.
One thing new to this game over the past year is we've allowed the use of essentially 2 controllers from multiple controllers to spawn other players to use certain abilities for 100%. For this game, Reiner is just going to be doing the one-player, like one-controller stuff, but it does open up some new routing options for people who want to use multiple controllers, usually just up to 2, which will allow you to do certain sections faster.
I personally like the routing for one player slightly over the 2-player, which is why I prefer it. And also, I did not have too much time to prepare for this run, but that's okay.
Yeah, world record was 1 player for a while, and has been lowered with sort of the help of 2-player strategies by Demolition. 1-4-1-4-1.
For this level, we're just going to be using burning as much as we can, because burning very fast, or I should say fire, but last game was called burning, we called burning.
So in the modern Kirby games, just running into standard enemies doesn't actually lose your ability. Only when the enemies actually attack you with like specific attacks will you lose your ability, as well as things like spikes or Gordos. You can take advantage of this for bosses where you intentionally get hit, giving yourself temporary invulnerability, that allowing you to do like maybe charge up a more powerful attack while you're up close to them. And kind of a skip right here. You're supposed to use the cannon they give you, or an ability to break the blocks, open up the switch. But instead, just gonna use burning and a well-timed jump to get through there without having to use the cannon. And then on these ladders, instead of just climbing up them, it's slightly faster to do essentially like ladder jumps.
Yeah. Coming up here is a little mini boss. We essentially want to use this move right here. I think it's called Inferno. No, it's not Inferno. I don't know what it's called.
I think it is Inferno. Yeah, it's Inferno.
Okay. But this is ability juggling in this game. Basically, you have the mechanic of being able to hold your ability. So even though this place right here requires sword to get this energy sphere, you can actually hold on to it and get fire back. It is very good and very fast.
You'll see ability juggling in a few places, and you'll also see it in particular for 2 boss fights where you're forced to use super abilities, but you want to keep whatever your other ability is.
Something worth mentioning is that goal games in this game are, in my opinion, very unforgiving.
Yeah, you can, like in Nightmare and Dreamland, maybe you lose like a second or 2 or 3. You can legitimately lose like 6 seconds or even maybe up to 10 seconds on a bad goal game. Yeah. It's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, so you want to be very precise with your goal games. Not liking my health right now. Just gonna keep that out so I remember to grab food. Food in this game heals you. And it's very important to keep that up, of course. Ooh, that's not good. That's very not good. Of course.
So yeah, that's sort of in a situation because what actually hit Reiner there was the seed from the enemy's attack, and because that's considered like an enemy attack, it actually loses your ability. Whereas if you just sort of walk into the enemy, you wouldn't. And that's something unique to the modern games as opposed to the retro flagship games. Thankfully, you can re-grab burning at the end of this room, which is nice.
Oops, I did not get a dash input there. So to use how the different like moves on abilities are used in this game are basically depend on if you're like either dashing or in air or just walking.
Mm-hmm. So you need to be in a run to activate that burning.
Yeah.
And so you can like run, jump into the air, and then do a burn, which is important in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I remember that movement.
Also, yeah, so you sort of saw an example of the key puzzles. You'll see a couple more of those where essentially you'll need to carry a key like through a series of obstacles to get to an energy sphere. And in a lot of these situations, if you accidentally break the key, like if it falls into a pit or the key hits like fire or something, a lot of the times you'll have to end up restarting a level just to get a chance at that key section. And also, if you restart a level, you'll have to re-get and you don't actually finish it, you will have to re-get what other energy spheres you've already collected. You'll have to re-get all of them, which can be another big time loss. It's a little too slow to just complete the level and redo it from scratch if you're gonna redo it anyways.
Okay. See if I can actually do this goal game right. Yay!
Alright.
Another thing to mention about goal games is that if you do it too early, you can actually get a slow grab and lose even more time.
It's not just getting it on the first available frame. It's pretty much getting it like slightly after it, and so which makes the timing that much more specific. Moving into 1-4, the 4 energy spheres. Although the final 2 are going to be get from another dimensional rifts. The first one in this room is pretty easy. You just take this lower path. It's a little bit off.
We can use that move right there to get a little bit of extra height, which I will abuse that a couple times. Probably should grab that meat there, but I didn't see it in time.
Also, specific health items will give you a bit more health.
Thankfully, we can get some health later on this stage before the dimensional rift.
So we get candy, which speeds us up, and because it speeds us up, it's actually faster just to run and like do this powerless, even though we have fire and burning. Although if you do have a straightaway section, it is faster to do those little kick slides, like we saw when we were powerless. But doing burns is slower than just running.
Ooh, I dropped a little too low there.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with these spikes here. They give you something to shield you with, but obviously you won't be going a little bit faster than that. So you just need to be able to time your burns.
I'm gonna do a purposeful damage boost right here.
Those things that look like French horns pretty much give you a force field above you that blocks you from projectiles.
This is the other energy sphere in the level. Next 2 energy spheres are going to be in the dimensional rift in this upcoming room.
Yeah, so dimensional rifts always give you 2 energy spheres. So some of the not going to see 2-player strats, I'll just throw this out, but some of the 2-player strats that have been routed essentially involve spawning a second Kirby, having the second Kirby have the super ability, and then having the first Kirby keep like burning or wing or whatever it is to get through this room a bit faster. And again, although you do have like the super ability, you want to avoid using it just because the animation for it is so long. So you're going to be seeing Reiner do some damage boosts whenever there's straightaway sections like that, doing these slides in the ground to get a bit more speed, and really just trying to be careful around these things. And avoid getting knocked backwards. You always want to get knocked forward so you don't get hit at all. They knock backwards is annoying. And blowing up that tree, also you want to blow up the base of that tree too, because once you spawn outside of this afterwards, you spawn to the left, and that way you don't have to climb over it.
This is the other ability list dimensional rift section. This
on this one is spiders.
This one is surprisingly one of the easier ones. Some of them get extremely difficult later on. Or not extremely difficult, but pretty difficult, in my opinion.
Yeah, some of the rifts can get pretty tough, and then all the Doomers, kind of like in 1-1 when we talk about quick kills, most of the Doomers have, quick kills where you're trying to knock them out as fast as possible, which is, some of them are very, very hard to do, like very specific movement and quick timings.
Including this one right here. So, I'm gonna go for it. It's hard. I got it, okay.
Yeah, you do 2 down Bs, you do a shield, and Leafs, when you shield with Leaf, it actually does a bit of damage. And then, you sort of get them to around half health, and then you spam up B a couple of times to knock them out before they leave. The third hit, sometimes if you're close, will be hitting them as they're, moving backwards in the screen, but their hitbox is still active.
You essentially just manipulate their health to where they will do certain moves instead of others. Good route.
Usually the overall is getting them around half health, because that's usually when they'll have a change in their, patterns of attack. So, on to Wispy, the first boss of the world. We're going to be ditching Leaf for Fire, which I actually think is not like a recent route change, but something that's happened probably, I don't know, in the past couple of years. I think the original guide for this actually had Leaf, and people would grab Fire in 2-1.
Alright. Once again, Wispy Woods, the first fight of World 1. First boss fight, at least. Wispy in this game has a tiny bit of RNG, but not much. Essentially, when you use this move, and they're going to purposely get sucked up. This is just faster than waiting it out. Just going to do this move again, and easy. Very quick fight. And then we get the little parts to the ship. I should probably explain the story a tiny bit. So, short story, even shorter. We're helping build a ship that will fly us across time and space or whatever.
And then that'll allow us to go to another world where we can fight a dragon.
Yep.
The cutscenes, and that's the thing about modern Kirby games, you know, just as they're newer, you get a lot more cutscenes, a lot more gaps between the actual levels.
It's
especially
also
for a 100% game like this.
It's also one of the few Kirby games with some actual text, and surprisingly, English is actually faster than Japanese.
Yeah, one of the rare occasions of the English actually being the fastest version here.
Maglar's just such a cool guy.
Maglar is very, very cool, and I really hope he doesn't betray us.
Yeah. Really hope that just, never happens. It's just a very
Seems like a
friendly
cool guy, nothing
relationship.
suspicious going on there. But we are on to Raisin Ruins.
The first
world.
The first bit of this level is pretty easy, but later on it gets a little bit scary because there are some boulders that can just immediately destroy your ability. And you need to keep burning because they're very fast.
Ideally, you keep burning throughout all of 3-1 and into like the first half of 3-2. Or sorry, not 3-2, 2-1 and 2-2 before you have to get another ability. But yeah, you'll see some boulders later on that will like, automatically just crush your ability to hit on them. And then this room, you just want to time your burns so that you can like knock over the enemies and not get knocked back by them. But you do need to have some sort of fire spawning ability for the scan them.
Cool little trick right here. We can actually use Inferno and get down there way faster. Just a little bit of tech. There's a lot of tech in this game, especially depending on what abilities you're using. And in this world, we're actually going to see quite a bit of ability diversity in the 100% category. So we get to see a lot of the tech there. This is one of two scary-ish rooms. This one's not too bad. If you're not paying attention, we can go south.
Yeah, you have to you're forced to spawn the switch there, which will activate the boulder, and then you stick past the door a little bit to get that energy sphere. And then this next room, there's a whole lot of boulders through. You're gonna burn past this first one, and then you do a damage boost for the second one. And the third one's one large boulder, so you can just burn through that, but you need to just time it.
That room is usually really scary, but it was fine.
Another candy room, so again, not actually going to be using burning, just running through it and using slides on the straightaway sections. If you use slides in front of enemies, they you just get cut short and you get pushed backwards, so you don't want to use slides when they're enemies nearby.
Alright, I'm gonna attempt to do a kind of quick kill here. There's like every single mini boss in this game is like a somewhat quick kill.
Yeah, and unlike Nightmare and Dreamland, the first game, where pretty much all the mini bosses revolve around RNG and getting good patterns, nearly all the mini bosses and even like bosses in modern Kirby games are fully scripted.
Oh yeah.
So they're more predictable patterns, which makes it like which makes the quick kills very optimized, and some of them are very difficult to hit.
Yes. That one right there is one of the more difficult ones, but we still got through. In 2-2, we're going to see some abilities changes.
2-2 is quite a bit of ability cycling, so we're going to start with burning. Gonna grab stone just to grab one of the energy spheres, then we're gonna grab water, and then we're gonna lose our ability for another dimensional rift. And we're gonna actually finally end with Parasol, too.
Yep.
But yeah, starting with burning in this room, you just ideally want to burn at specific points, and so you're not falling in the water. Because if you fall in the water, you lose essentially your run animation. You can't just jump out of the water and burn again. You would have to jump out of the water, land on a solid surface, and then run again to get back up to speed here.
I'm gonna... Oops. Okay, I didn't get the run input there, but that's fine. Usually you want to run, and then...
Yeah, you skip the first couple of stones there too. You grab this one later on just so you can extend the amount of time you have burning.
Stone is one of the abilities with like the least tech in this game, so we're gonna be trying to ditch it whenever we can, because we only need it just for that right there.
The 2-player strategy for there is you could have another player spawn King DDD who uses the hammer as his main weapon, which allows you to hit those switches. So in this room, we're also going to grab water, which will allow us to get by a bit quicker. But there is another energy sphere we have to get. It's really getting towards the bottom. And another puzzle room.
Water is actually one of my favorite abilities in this game. It's really cool ability-wise, with all the cool tech you can do.
Water is a cool ability. One thing you need to be careful when using it is that generally running into enemies just where it knocks you backwards, which can slow you down a lot.
That right there is pretty annoying, but... Oop, I pressed the wrong button. Okay, I'm gonna opt to do this instead. And I messed it up, alright. Tried to get a dash input there, but I jumped instead. You sadly can only play this game with a Wiimote, not with the GameCube controller or classic controller. Don't like my health, so I'm gonna play it a bit safe. Usually you can skip this cycle if you're fast enough, but I'm not gonna risk it with my...
Yeah, you can be a bit quicker and allows you to do another cycle that also involves, but even the faster cycle, you would have to do a damage boost, so if you're at low health, it's very tricky anyways.
We get Flare Beam here. What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, enemies have a random chance to spawn health. So like if you're low in health and you're lucky, you know, they can just like drop a chicken or something.
Oh yeah.
But otherwise, like in this room, you don't actually have any health available. So, and you don't get health in the rift, so you need to be very careful.
I need to be extremely careful because this rift can sometimes go south, but I practiced it quite a bit, so I'm not too concerned. Mainly
yeah,
right here.
Actually going in the water is very slow, so you're essentially going towards the top and just rapidly jumping in and out of it.
Yeah. Messed up the movement there a little bit, but it's fine as long as
Yeah, in a few sections like that, you're just going to sort of float and hover over the fish as opposed to taking the damage. Also, because you're over the pits here, if you accidentally, when trying to enter the water, like do an inhale, you can fall out and die. I've had that happen a bunch before.
Oh, yeah. Alright. Here we get...
They give you 2 different abilities before each different fight. So you essentially have the pick, and we grab on Parasol here, because Parasol is actually very good in this game.
Parasol has one of the best DPSs in this game, somehow. Even though it's Parasol, it's like actually really good. I should have gone for another hit there, but it's fine.
Yeah. One of the strongest Parasol hits is actually just this down B. You're gonna see that in the third boss of this game in World 3, where you pretty much just use that one attack to beat it in seconds. Also, Parasol is pretty good for movement because that down B allows you to get down rooms really quickly, but also the side Bs are pretty good. They allow you to get good boost of speed, and they allow you to hit enemies while you're doing it.
Parasol is just a very good, very strong ability all around, and it's very worth having, especially for bosses. This first room is just gonna be abusing?
2-3 is kind of an interesting level. This first room, you're doing a mix of these parasol dashes. But the third room, so not the next room, but the room after, involves like it's a cycle-based room. So you need to enter this lower area. Then you can do it on a fast cycle, but it requires very, very specific and like tough to do parasol movements.
Oh yeah. I mean, I already messed it up, so it's not happening.
Yeah, depending on where in the jump you actually do your side view, like the height, will affect things. So in that case, doing it like right up against the wall and doing it pretty high up allowing you to jump right up the cannon. So yeah, if you're quick enough, you can get on an earlier cycle to do this inhale. But yeah, you have to go to that room nearly perfectly.
Yeah. You get Tornado here, which is fairly good ability. One of the best speed-wise. It's also good for invincibility. And then
one of the things about Tornado is you can shake the Wii remotes, and it allows you to do an extended Tornado, which does a lot of damage. Otherwise, Tornado against like enemies is very, very weak.
You get high jump here. Way weaker ability compared to Nightmare in Dreamland, which we just saw.
Yeah, high jump's very laggy in this game, nor is it very good against bosses, which is one of the things that actually makes it usable in Nightmare in Dreamland for long stretches. But it's okay, because we're gonna just temporarily regrab fire here, then we actually need to grab
We're gonna grab Beam here. Beam has cool tech too. You can actually use it to get extra height, a lot of extra height. So we'll be trying to do that to minimize the amount of jumps we have to do, or the amount of floats we have to do. I'm gonna grab this one. This is the reason why we switched to beams, to grab this energy sphere right here. Alright. This last sphere is gonna be just timing. Timing our A inputs to get us to the correct cannons or whatever. I did this slightly wrong, but it's fine.
Since a Kirby game, you're gonna have some canon sections at some points. This one's not that bad, but there's a couple canon sections in Worlds 4 and 6, which are pretty cool.
Yeah. We'll get to those soon, though. Those rooms are awful, though. We're gonna see some cool, or what I think is just a really neat trick. I can hopefully do right. Is the items in this game actually have tech as well as with all the abilities. I'm gonna grab this key here, and what I'm gonna do is a cool little trick. You basically drop it at the top of our jump and get up there slightly early. Very small time optimization, but very fun.
There's another strategy I do that doesn't involve that draw, but if you're very fast, you don't actually do it, and you can barely like make the jump. So that's what I go for, but I think they end up pretty much being the same, and faster than having to wait for it. Doing a super suck there also, just extending your range a little bit allows you to like get an ability from further away.
This is one of the worst spheres in the game. I got it.
Yep, so by pressing B, or I don't know what button it is, pressing a button you get, or when you're in a burn, you can drop little like fireballs that then ignite on the ground, but sometimes the fire won't always stay there. Depending on like when in the burn you do it.
Yeah, it's
and so
really dumb.
Control you.
Oh, grab the candle. This is a dark room, and this is the dark room I know the best, so hopefully I can get through it. There's a couple of these throughout the game that are supposed to, like, you're supposed to use the candle to, like, see where you're supposed to go. But if you play the game before, you're supposed to go. You got this energy sphere here.
And there's a bit of health there too, which is nice.
Alright, coming up is another mini-boss. A fan favorite. Water Galvaros.
Water Galvaros. Iconic.
Alright. That was...
So yeah, while they're like sort of sitting there, you use Inferno to do big damage, but as they start to move and jump around, you jump around and do those fire spin attacks.
There is a faster kill you can do there, but bad.
It is pretty tough.
Alright, we're gonna be getting another item in this level, which is the, I don't know what it's called, the invisibility crystal or whatever.
Pretty much, that's literally what it is, which allows you to, first off, when you're doing this, enemies can't actually hit you or damage you, which is nice. But it allows you to go through these, like, mirror doors. In this case, allows you to grab the energy sphere. And then, once you actually grab the energy sphere, it automatically drops it for you, which is also nice. Also, this is the first level in the game where you actually have up to 5 energy spheres, where you get 3 of the regular energy spheres, and then we end with a dimensional rift. So first off, we're gonna grab the Ultra Sword. I think it's the Ultra Sword?
Yeah.
Yeah, super ability.
This is a pretty precise section, at least in my opinion. We damage boosting in the opposite way right there to save just a fraction of a second. I'm gonna wait this one out. And then we're gonna purposely destroy these. We actually get food from doing this as well, which is very handy.
Yeah, so in this case, we're actually going to use the ability. And also, for the super abilities, the first time you use it is a bit longer, and then every time you use it afterwards is a bit shorter. So it's essentially like an extended cutscene on the first animation.
Yeah, it's a little annoying, but it's guaranteed. Just a guaranteed little thing.
In that case, Reiner actually cut that string up above and then went down the ladder, which allowed, because it takes a bit of time after you use that for the rift to spawn.
Oh, sorry.
This one's tricky. You need to play around these cannons, and it's really frustrating for them to shoot you and get knocked backwards. And also, especially if you're entering this area with very low health, it can be very risky unless you're going very slow.
Trying to focus a little bit here. You just want to try to avoid taking as many hits as possible, trying to get through as fast as you can.
On that big cannon, going very fast enough where you can just jump over it and not getting shot. And this one, we're going to grab an ability, in this case Cutter, but we're not actually going to use the ability pretty much for this fight because they give you blocks. All we're going to be doing is just spitting these blocks out, in this case using super suction.
What? Okay. That's
no.
It didn't. That does never happen in practice. Okay. Well.
All right. And yeah, so if you die in a Grand Doomer, you have to do the Dimensional Rift over again.
That has not happened to me before.
To be honest, I've had that happen to me before, 4 times where I have like a block in my mouth so I can't jump, and I. Like,
I've had that happen a couple times too.
Yeah. And already at this point, you're like 30 minutes deep into a run, and like if you're trying to PB, you lose in like up to a minute or more. It could be rough.
Hey, I can still PB. PB's bad.
Guess I'll talk about it now. So, and depending on what ability you get with Dimensional Rift, you might want to keep it for the next level. In this case, we don't have an ability, so what Reiner's going to do after he knocks out the Zoomer and gets the 2 energy sphere is he's going to jump into pits and actually take the KO, which allows him to respawn a bit faster. Because if you just do Dimensional Rift normally, and you exit, Kirby does this little like dance animation, whereas if you get KO'd and you exit it, he just kind of like, it's a lot faster. So, Reiner, unfortunately, just waiting for like another block, or another projectile to
I messed up
use.
the block routing a little bit. Okay, this is an intentional death, which kicks us out of the thing, but because we already have the spheres, you can just do it. We can afford it.
Yeah, it just makes it a bit faster to like exit here.
I'm so mad at myself that I died there, because that's like not a death that should happen.
Alright, and we are on to Mr. Duder. Kind of a tricky boss. Gonna be using water for it, and involves some precise like water attack. So some precise timing.
This is one of my favorite bosses to fight, just because I think it's a lot of fun. So we're going to be grabbing water right here, as long as I can get it. Water is... We haven't seen it to fight bosses yet, but it has a very good DPS as well. Not like a not like one of the best, but like it's still a really good DPS.
So the attack you're doing is if you crouch and then do an up inputs on the menu on the Kindle mode, you do this rainbow attack, so you get up right next to Duder. And you're also going to time this, because when he lands on you, depending on if you actually have the attack open, you'll lose your ability, so you need to be a bit specific in the timings. It's essentially shield yourself as you do it.
We're also going to be... Please don't do this.
Yeah, the second part of this fight, you're actually, because Duder spawns all these stars, so you essentially just do some ability juggling, grabbing a bunch of the stars, using them. And you want to be able to grab water afterwards, is the important part. You want to be able to keep water from the beginning of 3-1, because it's a lot faster than power-ups.
And that's World 3.
So, World 3, or, on to World 3, pretty tough worlds, but also kind of slow-paced, nearly as long as Worlds 1 and 2 combined, because it's water worlds, and we have a lot of water sections where you can't really utilize an ability.
Sorry to mute for a second. Alright.
So, 3-1, probably one of my, honestly, personal least favorite levels in this game in terms of the speedrun.
I think
very punishing.
I think 3-1's fine, I just hate, the World 3 is one of my least favorite runs, or least favorite, worlds in this game, because, very punishing and, pretty, slow. But, 3-1 in my opinion, at least, was one of the more fun ones. But yeah, like I was just saying, it's pretty punishing. So the movements, like I just did, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, one thing, cool things about water is that you can just go right over those fire blocks and pull them off. And you can really see like all throughout that room. Pretty much what Reiner would do is, because those spikes are gonna instantly like destroy water, is he looks to like get hit somewhere, get the invulnerability, and then he can land on those spikes and like boost through them and set up more of those water dashes.
Right here, you can go down this whole place and memorize them. Losing water there is not a huge deficit, because the tornado right here, which is faster.
You're gonna utilize Tornado a lot for 3-1 and 3-2 specifically.
You can also go in...
Tornado, it extends it. You can see it almost charges up and then unleashes afterwards.
You can also go in the water to cancel it, sometimes. Which,
although that animation does, extend your range and do a lot of damage, it is a long animation. So yeah, if you go in the water, you're essentially able to cancel it.
Alright. So I'm hitting this block right here, if I can hit it. Which unlocks this room right here, which has a little key section right here. Essentially, we want to just do it fast enough to where we can just get through this as quickly as possible.
See a bunch of key puzzles scattered throughout the game, and many of the energy spheres are these little rooms tucked away with the puzzle. Also, you need to be careful around these coconuts, because, yeah, they explode and they're very, very large.
The large coconuts, for some reason, explode for some unknown reason.
And now we get I think this is probably my favorite super ability, Snowball, because it's one of the few ones where you can actually still go fast without using it.
We could go bowling.
Yeah, so by both charging up your remotes or shaking it, you can charge up, and also while jumping at the beginning of the snowball animation, you launch forward, getting massive amounts of speed. And you're also invulnerable, so as long as you don't fall into the pit, you're not completely flying through here. Yeah, it's all about pretty much, so you start it up, you're going to quickly straight through remotes, and then right as you start, or right as you're able to move, you want to jump here. Yeah. And then you carry it through so you can blow up this castle, and then keep going into the rifts.
This drift has a lot of waiting involved, but we'll be trying to maximize.
Going down a lot of elevators, pretty much.
The upcoming Doomer fight is also one of my least favorite Doomer fights in the game. We'll be using Tornado in it.
Yeah, and Tornado is very awkward to use in boss fights. It's not very strong outside of that like last hit where you have to charge up, but also controlling it is very awkward because like you can't control. You control where you go, but it's pretty laggy, pretty slow.
You want to try sucking those as possible, like a bit earlier, so you can finish the cutscene slightly soon. Alrighty. Oops.
Also, want to be able to keep Tornado for the start too. Want to be able to use it for the beginning of 3-2. So yeah, around the time the Sphere Doomer takes it out at half health, it sort of changes. It goes into this animation where it charges and goes to the back of the screen. And also around that point, when it's doing that charge attack, its perk goes way up and doing damage to its, damage does a lot less.
Did an accidental up input there, but it's fine. Alrighty. Oops, I'm supposed to do this. And that's 3-1. 3-1's a very long level.
Yeah, 3-1's like a 6 to 7 minute long level. It's pretty girthy. On to 3-2, and the first part of 3-2 is just going to be this underwater section where you don't want to get hit and lose Tornado because you're not going to be able to recover it, but beyond that, it's pretty simple.
Yeah. 3-2 is not too bad. Personally, I think it's 3-3 and 3-4 are some of my least favorite stages in this game due to how long they take and how punishing they are.
The trickiest part of this room is probably at the very end, where you're going to be doing a series of like very tight ladder jumps, and the enemies, like the plant enemies, like spawn these seeds. You get hit by them, Tornado's going to fall down that pit, and you're going to lose it. So just in that last section right there, I'm going to be very quick.
I'm gonna
get ditching Tornado for fire here.
I'm using fire for this mega boss. And then we're going to be picking up this, which we'll be juggling once again.
So just using cutter so you can break this rope, and then immediately you're grabbing fire. As for 2-player, you can spawn either Bandana D or Meta Knights as extra characters, which can also hit the rope.
Oops, I forgot the movement.
And then for this one, you actually need a spear for this upcoming room. So not going to grab these bees, which have spear. Not going to grab the first one, and use burning a bit longer. The reason you need spear is there's a switch that is underwater. That's just out of range where you can't actually get it with your little water bubbles that you can spawn. So you need to actually use spear with its extra range, to hit it. So you're going to see right here. Spawns this extra room.
I'm going to be trying to keep spear through this. It's not too important, but it can help a little bit.
In the order you break those blocks is nice. You actually see he doesn't do it just outside, inside. He does it in like outside, the fully inner one and then the middle one, and he's trying to knock out the enemies as he does it.
If we hold up right there as entering the door, we can actually avoid that enemy altogether. It looks a bit wonky, but it's cool. Oops.
So this is the first time we're going to see the boot power-up. So as you can see in this game, like you have all like the regular Kirby power-ups and some new ones. We also have some like external items, like we see with the key. We saw with the French horn where it like blocks the projectiles, and this time we're going to see the boot.
Boot is kind of scary because at least in this level, you because if you misuse it at all, you can actually plummet to your death in the water. It's very unfortunate when it happens, but it happens occasionally.
In this case, if you lose boot, like, you can jump out of it, it will respawn, but you'll have to go back and redo the section, which takes quite a bit of time. But yeah, if you don't jump out, you'll essentially sink to your death if you fall. Boot can jump off of enemies and essentially do like an extended jump. You just have to time an A press. When I say A press, I don't actually it's A, because it's like Wii it's like 1 and 2 buttons.
Yeah, it's 1 and 2.
Yeah, but you have to time a jump, I guess would be the best way to put it. Get the extra height.
Keeping spear throughout this area actually saves a little bit of time right here, because you can grab the spear without having to break it with Kirby's bubbles. We're going to be taking some intentional damage boosts as well to get past these eels. If the eels swallow you, you lose your ability and it wastes a lot of time. You have to like shake to get out of it and stuff. It's pretty annoying.
So it's important to have enough health there that you can actually do those damage boosts, because it speeds up that last room quite a bit.
This upcoming level, in 3-3, it's like an underwater cave section. And, okay, this level, okay, 3-3 I actually like. It's 3-4 is the level that I dislike a lot. But
yeah, 3-4 is like a full, like, 6-minute long water level. 3-3 is pretty long, but it's also because it has dimensional rifts. There's quite a bit going on, so we're gonna start with spear. You can grab burning here, but it doesn't really do much. What Rioner's instead going to do is going to grab water in one of the upcoming rooms.
Alright. We'll do some more damage, one more damage boost in this level as well. Which is going to put us on very low health, but it's okay, because there's actually a cherry later on that we can pick up if we can get it.
Yeah, the first half of 3-3 is pretty generous with the health they give you. The second half is not, which is unfortunate, because you do have to do a lot of damage boosting in the second half as well.
Alright. This is like a... Usually, when you play this game casually, you're supposed to memorize which ones you want to go through. We obviously want to go through the one with health, but health's not really needed. But it's still faster to just pick the first one.
There'll be another one later on where you have to take the furthest path to get the energy sphere.
Picked up a little extra health there because I'm not too confident right
now. So Reiner is going to grab water. He's going to use it to get through this room with the parry to use on the stone boss. And then you need to grab stone after the boss fight specifically to get the first energy sphere at this level. So he's going to be doing the same attack he used versus Duder, where he's actually doing the water rainbow that's spawning on top of you. There you go. I don't really know how to describe it. And then when Mondo does these spinning thing, he's vulnerable during that point.
I actually tried speeding up my ability, but down input apparently. It's funny. Alright, and we need stone here because there's a current pushing you upwards, and stone bypasses that current.
Yes, you stone. I think you stone 3 times throughout the run, and in each case you use it once, or use like immediately and then just drop it because you don't really actually need it for anything else.
So this section right here, there's an energy sphere on the far right option. There's the second nearest sphere for the level.
That's the last one outside of the rift.
Yep.
So the next room's pretty simple. It's like another like wind room, so you're kind of just going in the flow.
Oops, I just pressed B.
There's a whole bunch of enemies here, but they also give you both a cherry as well as a tomato, so they're pretty generous with the amount of health they give you. But the health in this room is the last health you get until the end of the rifts.
Yeah.
And so you're going to do a lot of damage boosting with the super ability, so it's important to hopefully end this room with full health. So you can see Reiner got the tomato, and he's ideally going to not take any other hits until he gets the super ability.
Yeah. And in this room right here is going to be the room we grab Monster Flame, the fire ability, the fire super ability. Okay, in this specific section, we're going to be taking a lot of damage boosts, like you said, like right here. If I can get through it, I'm going to get hit again.
Yeah, you got a bunch of these totems, and you're just sort of boosting through them. You can use Monster Flame to destroy them, but as we said, the animation takes a while. But yeah, you go from having full health to almost no health very quickly. Actually, there's a bit of health in this room, depending on if you break some of these enemies, and there's also, oh yeah, one banana spawn there. You also have another banana, I think, slightly up ahead, but still, with all the damage boosts you're doing, you lose a lot of your health, which can make the rift in particular pretty punching. I think the dimensional rift for 3-3 is, I think, one of the hardest in this game.
Oops. Okay. I'm gonna wait for these guys to like almost turn around and then damage boost through them. Just save a little extra time. Alright, we get to destroy this little octopus. I'm sorry, but they held the keys to the dimensional rift.
Alright, so most of this upcoming dimensional rift is in water. Anytime that you can get out of the water ends up being faster. So you're going to see in Reiner target sections where there is no water, so we can just go, ever so slightly faster. You also need to be careful around the sharks, because they do damage, but they also just grab you, which wastes time. You have to shake the Wiimote to get out of their grip.
Yep. We're going over that because it's a bit risky to try and not do that for. Oop. Got hit a little bit. That should be fun. We're wanting this star to kind of take care of a lot of the things. A lot of the sharks. And right here, we're going to try getting this.
The super ideal strategy is you get another double star, which goes a bit faster than this massive one, which allows you to clear the path a bit quicker, but it's a bit tricky to set up. And then we're going to have a Doomer fight very similar to the one in 2-2, where we also use Parasol. Like, very identical. I think this one's just slightly more difficult to get though. I'm pretty sure it's pretty much the same pattern, but I'm pretty sure the Doomer has slightly more health.
Oh, will this even kill? Yes, it will. Alrighty. Parasol once again is one of my favorite abilities, and one of my favorite to use in this game. Use it to just speed up a little bit. Alright, the upcoming level though is very trash.
Yeah, 3-4 is like a full designated water level. It's pretty slow, and we have a lot of energy spheres to collect.
Yes. Some of which are pretty hard, some of the energy spheres. There's going to be one section where we're going to be having to go through a room with a ton of sharks. Oops. I'll start from there. So, using Parasol down here is actually a bit faster, I believe. So once you use it...
Yeah, ends up saving some time. Yeah, this is the first level that has has max 5 energy spheres without with rifts. So all of these are just puzzles and other things you have to do.
With the weight on these little spinny things as well.
Yeah, they will instantly destroy your ability, or they'll at least like knock it out, but you can't get underwater. So if you don't have Parasol, there's an enemy right there. You can go in the little alcove and get it.
I'm gonna kill this guy because he's annoying. And we're wanting to go up here and get through this block right here. This section, we want to avoid clicking the button until we get the key. It's a very simple puzzle once you realize what's happening. Ooh, I almost did not get that done.
Then the end of this room is also pretty tricky. Like, ideally, you want to be using down B to go through, because when you're in the down B states, you can essentially go right through these spikes, but if you don't set it up properly, you'll still end up losing your ability, essentially. So in that case, Reiner is just going to wait it out, doing the safer strategy. Gotta be careful of these guys that are sort of blue with the two red arms. They'll extend out one arm at a time, and when they do that, you're vulnerable to losing your ability if you get hit.
Ooh,
And then in this room, yeah, there's a lot of sharks, and you gotta avoid all of them. Don't want to get grabbed. I guess the idea, or the intention, is to go through the other room, grab the candy, and then do it, but grabbing that candy does waste quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it's way faster to just keep Parasol. Thankfully, we did not lose Parasol. Usually, I do lose Parasol there. Okay. This is one of my, I've had a couple instances with this room in the past, but I should be fine now. We want to grab a spear here and hold on to it for quite a while. And, so which basically means we have to pretty much play the next couple of rooms damageless, or close to damageless. It also helps with clicking these buttons faster.
Spear is a pretty nice ability to have underwater because of that.
It's one of the few abilities you can actually use underwater, like Parasol. Some abilities like burn, or like fire and water, or not water. Actually, yes, and water. They don't really get too many effects of them underwater. Okay, we want to wait here and have this bowler thing destroy then some metal blocks or steel blocks at the end. So we can grab the next time, or I almost said time gear.
Then got an actual room. This puzzle involves these bombs that you carry that essentially are detonating as you move around. So you're gonna skip the first one, but you need to grab the second one. And as you move around, like, they slowly grow larger and larger before they blow up. So you're on a time limit, and you need to carry it past a few sections to blow up some more metal blocks.
Essentially, when it starts turning red, that's when it can explode. Which we're gonna throw it right there to explode those blocks.
Actually, yeah, these are yellow blocks too. So there's nothing else will destroy them. It's not like you can bring another ability in there to do it. You need to use it with those bombs. And then finally, because we still have Spear, we need it one more time for this last energy sphere. In case you don't have it at this point in the level, there's a small little alcove that Reiner's passing right now that gives you it, but otherwise, you still have Spear at this point. Just hold on to it.
Getting Spear is sometimes challenging. Alright, that's fun. I tried to damage boost, but it didn't happen. I have to go back. Okay, that's what I tried doing, but whatever.
It happens.
Oh my
The
gosh!
strat involves using Bandana D, which is pretty much just a Kirby with a Spear ability. And you can use that in a couple of different times throughout World 3 to save time in small increments.
There we go, okay, let's keep Spear this time. I'm gonna play it a little bit safer. This is why I hate this level. And we need it to grab this sphere. There we go. And that's the end of 3-4. Thankfully, I hate this level.
Now we actually have probably which is one of the easiest bosses because of how quickly you can just melt it using Parasol, which we'll grab right beforehand.
I love me some Parasol. All the movement of Parasol, I think, is just super sick. The upcoming boss, I believe, is called Fatty Puffer.
Yep, Fatty Puffer. See, for the bosses, they'll always give you 3 abilities beforehand. In this case, Parasol is by far the best one.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna be doing this down B ground attack, which just completely melts Puffer. So when he's doing this rolling charge attack, we cannot damage it, but otherwise we're just going to be sticking right on him, doing large amounts of damage quickly.
We should be able to burn through this, burn through that first phase extremely fast, given how broken Parasol is.
Yeah, if you're not fast enough in the first phase, they will do a charge attack, kind of like what they're doing right now on them board. In this case, you block. Ooh, unfortunately getting clipped there. Also another thing, we haven't really talked about it. You can block in this game, which allows you to like be invulnerable for certain attacks. You still take damage, but in very, very small increments while you're blocked.
There we have the wing, one of the wings on the first ship.
Out of World 3, just under an hour done.
Yay, sub-hour! I used to be really excited when I get sub-hour. Alright, World 4 is actually one of my favorite worlds. It might actually be my favorite world, but... White Wafers. This is the snowy level. A lot of ice movement, which can lead to some cool tech, in my opinion.
Not intended.
Oops. Alright. I'll be using Parasol as well, this first part. Doing small hops to get a little extra speed, and then quickly getting a dash input, and then using it again. And then, coming up with this next little cave, we're going to be switching to much faster ability, burning. Or fire. I keep calling it burning because I'm so used to the other games.
So yeah, one of the traits of fire is that it can be used to melt or destroy these ice blocks, which we'll see in a couple of different spots for World 5.
Oops, you didn't die.
In this room, it's pretty tricky. These rough enemies aren't that bad, but a bunch of the
these bomb guys here
roads.
can
Like if they hit you with their bomb when you're trying to jump past here, like fire is going to go backwards to the left and it's going to go down the room, and you're sort of in a mad scramble to go and get it because you lose a lot of time if you do not have fire.
This is a this right here is a much riskier cannon section, as you're about to see. Moves really fast.
In situations, the cannon moves very quickly back and forth, and there's like a bit of input delay. So, like, it's not. Oh, unfortunately, Reiner is gonna have to go backwards here, but at least not dying.
Yeah, goals did not die. Let's be real.
Yep. All right, getting through. Yeah, so you get one energy sphere, and then you have to take a different path here.
So this is the alternative route to 4-1, which can be used to just get the last energy sphere.
In this room, you gotta be a little careful. You got a lot of ice spikes, and yeah, if you touch them, your ability sort of gets stuck on there and instantly gets destroyed.
Yeah.
But we take this lower path just. It's actually a bit slower, I think, but you do take it to get just an extra energy sphere. Ooh, some risky movement there. Going for it though.
Gotta
usually like do that super safe.
Alright, I'm gonna be going. So with burning on this guy, there's a cool quick kill we can do that I recently just figured out. There we go. Okay. Oh, not quite it. Slightly too early. I can still kill him fairly quickly. So, by timing the Inferno attack, which has the highest DPS for burning, you actually are invulnerable for a very little bit in the animation. You can use it to just to completely avoid that hit and get a very quick kill. I was slightly too close to them, so I didn't quite get the full effect of the quick kill, but I still pretty fast fight.
Yeah, you do it for a couple of mini-boss fights, and the timing for when you have to transition from the fire attack to the Inferno attack to give you invulnerability is pretty specific.
Yeah. Oops.
4-2, I think 4-2 is one of the hardest levels in the game, honestly. There's quite a bit of, a lot of different spike rooms where losing burning ends up losing large amounts of time. And kind of a tricky dimensional rift as well. The Doomer fight isn't too bad. It's actually one of the easier ones because you're ninja. The level itself is pretty tough.
Oh, that sucks. I almost got hit again.
Yeah, so we're in this cave, both the ice spikes as well as these enemies that linger on the ground.
Okay.
All nuclear ability, if they touch you, or at least they drop the ability. You do there are some Galbaros here if you need to re-grab burning, which you need because you have to for this cannon section.
This cannon section is also going to be abusing burning right here, or this puzzle I should say. So I need to use it to get past here. I'm going to play this a bit safe and reassure I can actually make it through that. There's been too many times where because of the ice mechanics, I just slide and then jump straight into the spikes. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, a bunch. And that's the mistake that seems small because you really need fire for these next few rooms. Legitimately will lose 30, 40 or more seconds.
Oh yes. This game is very brutal, but in my opinion one of the best speedruns. Probably. Because of how much tech there is. But because of how ability hold is did I miss it? Did I ever go past the boot? No, it's right here. I'm being dumb.
Yeah, there's it looks similar, honestly. There's
Oh, am I high enough? Oh, okay, we good. Next energy spheres are going to be from the dimensional rift. Dang, these guys hit me. Alright, this downward section is sometimes rough, depending on what. Usually you can just burning through the top and find most of it, but sometimes if you make one minor flaw, you can lose a little bit of time.
These snowmans falling can crush you as well. Or not kill you, but drop your ability. But yeah, you really want to keep fire here for the super launchers fight because the backups you have, either beard, or sword.
Okay, this is a super
really,
slow.
really bad.
This is a slow launcher's fight. That's fun. Oh, come on. Okay. We get this is the first instance where we actually get a super ability from a mid boss. And here we get Grand Hammer. Grand Hammer. Does this? It's it's a giant hammer. That's about it.
You need to be careful in these sections because if you use hammer in midair, it automatically slams you towards the ground. So if you use it over these pits, you just have an accidental input, you'll that's a death.
Oh yeah, that's happened to me before. All right, these big block guys here. I don't know how to describe them. Alright, and then we can shake the Wiimote once we use it to get a bigger hammer, and then alright, this here is, I think, one of my favorite Doomer sections. We get to really abuse ice mechanics. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of a different one, never mind.
Yeah, this is the one with the key.
Alright. I'm thinking of the one in 4 or something.
Reiner, are you going to be going for swag key? I have to.
Oh, I am.
Okay. Reiner going to be going for a trick that saves a small handful of seconds, and you'll tie. Fail it.
There we go. That does
Alright,
just
nice.
key.
So yeah, you throw the key there as opposed to just doing the jump.
It saves like, you know, less than a second, but it's always worth it. You gotta do it with swag. Oh, I just dropped the thing. And if you fail it, you only lose like a minute or two.
So use the cannon to break past these blocks and then ditch it immediately after because it is kind of slow. And on top of these long sections, we want to just be doing kick slides. This upcoming Booger fight is the first time we get to see Ninja. Ninja, while not really having that much usefulness overall in terms of movement, is by far like one of the highest damage per second abilities in the game. We use it for the final boss, and Reward is really just melt a Sphere Tumor. I don't really want to call it a quick kill. Really, all you do is just attack with a punch.
Yeah. Ninja's very good. I believe that's the highest DPS in this game.
So essentially, if you rapidly press it, you'll fire needles, but if you're holding the attack button, you do 2 different slashes, both of which are incredibly powerful.
Alright. And this also has some movement tech with this attack. The little slash dash attack. And it can be used in a couple places to save time. I believe the next level is my favorite song in the entire game. This game has a lot of bangers, if you can't tell. But my personal favorite song appears for literally like half the level, half of one level, and it's for some reason not in anywhere else. It's not this song. But...
yeah, you can also do these these sort of kick moves with Ninja. I guess another little movement tech.
Yeah.
So we're not going to grab fire because at the end of this room we're going to end up grabbing spear. Kind of like in World 3, we need spear in the water room to hit something like a switch that's just just out of reach. So this is another room where you just don't want to get hit. You need to be careful to avoid losing your ability. But you're going to see a lot of these massive spiky balls, which are
very unfortunate to touch.
So they follow a set pattern if they're sort of like drifting upwards or downwards. Just want to be careful around them, as well as all the other enemies.
I just want to play this a bit safe and wait a little bit longer.
If you're really, if you want to play really aggressive, you can do some damage boosts off some of these fish enemies, which will allow you to like be invulnerable and then go through.
Best song.
Spike balls, but they're like very defensive.
Oh, okay. I didn't mean to go out the water there. This is my favorite song in the game, and it appears for only this level. And we also get the best ability in the game, Needle. This is about
one time.
Yep. And it's actually this is the one time in Kirby history where Needle's like viable. And there you go. It's gone forever.
And if you do or if you do one player two controller strategies, you get to use it. Unfortunate.
That's like 90% of the reason I won't run 2-player because you ride out Needle, save Needle.
Yeah, Reiner's a big Needle fan, big Needle fan. So we're going to ditch fire to grab Cutter to use for this puzzle. Kind of a bit of a meme here, because if you're underneath this big metal platform, as you crush it, you'll die. I've had this happen to me multiple occasions, a couple different Twitch clips of it.
Yeah, it happens a lot when you're just not paying attention too much.
So Reiner's doing the safe and smart method, which is to do a charge shot from not underneath the platform. That way you don't have to like rapidly move to dodge it after you cut it. And Cutter's got some cool tech. You can do these dashes. You can do these dashes. But you can also, you can do like down B's.
Oh, I didn't know I was going to go up that fast.
Dang it.
Alright, losing Cutter there is not a big deal.
Okay, we're gonna be ditching Cutter in the next room to grab Leaf for the mini boss, anyways.
You actually can avoid both that thing, the bomb thing, and the key. It's not
Yeah, some of these puzzles don't actually lead to energy spheres, they just lead to items or stars which give you 1-ups.
I actually do not remove the strike. Probably not.
Yeah, the strongest attacks with Leaf are your down attack in midair where you spawn 3 different leaves because you use it up close. It's pretty rapid power. You can also pretty much spawn these small trees pretty quickly, which do a lot of damage.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I want to drop the key, shoot the thing, and then do this. Okay, we did it.
Yeah, this water puzzle is honestly a lot more annoying than it is, especially if that waddle be there. He gets like KO at first.
That's why I tried to destroy the drop the key guys. Alrighty.
On the 3-4 or 4-4, the first half of this level is going to be a lot of tricky water movements. And then the second half of this level will have another dimensional rift with some
what's this level? This level sucks. Alrighty. So I'm going to be going back here a little bit on purpose and then trying to get around this. We want to hit this cannon. If you miss that, you have to restart the stage, and it's very, very obnoxious.
Yeah, and this is a wind room, in case you can't tell. It's like you're being pushed forward and you can't go backwards. There's another energy sphere in World 6 that's very, very similar. And really, the key to water in this room is you have to pick and choose specifically where you want to do like the water charge attacks, because you bounce off the enemies and you also bounce off the walls. And you can see there's lots of projectiles. There's these things shooting in from the backgrounds. You just need to be very specific and consistent with your movement to avoid getting hit here.
I've never been hit by that Gordo. So.
Yeah, you can see there the Gordo. Like depending on where you do the water dash, like you might end up in midair in like in a bad spot. It's a lot more difficult than it looks, but it also shows how in a lot of these rooms, memorizing very specific movement patterns is like the big key. Which of course, because it's like a 3-hour long category.
Yeah.
So this puzzle room, there's a key D. If you're not fast enough, they'll use the one key on the door that you don't want to use, and you'll have to redo the level. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to beat the key D here, if you're very, very comfortable.
Yeah. One of the easiest key D sections.
Extra mode, which is pretty much like the harder version of this game, where you have less health and the enemies are a bit tougher. These key Ds move like twice as fast, so you actually need to be very quick in those rooms.
Yep.
But don't have to deal with that. And we're going to be using Snowball again, so actually some movement tech. This one's tricky because unlike the beach level we were in earlier, there's a lot of very tight walls, and you pretty much again want to time your jumps properly, otherwise you have to constantly be respawning the snowball.
Oh, I tried to get a jump there, but...
There's other sections if you fail to break the ice, like, bowling pins, you have to like float over to redo it, and that's pretty slow.
I did not get it. What? That happens sometimes.
Oh yeah, you don't just, if you're going too fast, or if you're having a bit of height onto you, you'll just go over the snowman, you have to land on.
Okay, this is the Doomer section, or the freaking dimensional rift section I thought was going to happen in the other one. Where we're going to be abusing ice physics to kind of like get an advantage.
Yeah, most of this is like downhill, like going lower and lower, and you have the ice. So you start off slow, but you pick up a lot of speed. You can see right there, Reiner doing a super inhale on that block while like essentially just out of a movement, like out of a run, and just sliding through.
I'm going to be trying to time it to where I can, I got flipped input.
Otherwise, especially if you're going uphill, it's a lot faster to just do like little short hops in the ice section. When you're going downhill, you actually can like build up some momentum and take advantage of that.
You can also jump to accelerate a little bit faster. Alright, this part we can't go too fast, because we'll get crushed and die. So hopefully I am patient.
So as you get close to, yes, you specifically need to get close to these big blocks before they will fall. And once you spawn them, they will drop down and reveal the door. This is one of the toughest or the toughest doomers to do with this cut.
Okay, I'm not doing the hard strat, but...
Okay. The hard strat pretty much involves, I can't even really explain it, so I can't even probably...
I can't do it.
It involves essentially floating in midair and very quickly alternating between an attack and like an inhale, so you actually stay in midair. And it allows you to deal very quick damage to the Doomer, but essentially the series of...
Something kind of like that I just did at the end, but still not quite. If you want to see that fight in full effect, watch like Shin's one-player run.
Yeah, I would recommend watching either Demolition, I think his world record actually came from his Kirby Master Speedrun, or... then there's also, or at least one run times, and then there's also Shiro's 236, which is a one-player run.
Oh, I said Shin, didn't I? I meant Shiro. Alright, coming up is another one of my favorite levels in the game, 4-5.
4-5 is very cool.
Very cool level, sick music, and there's a lot going for it.
Yeah, you have to grab a lot of keys to get through a lot of different doors, and there's a lot of unique puzzle rooms as well. Gonna grab ice start off. I think this is actually the first time we use ice in the speedrun.
Yes, it is. Basically, what ice is good for is you can get to dash speed really fast on ice, which is not seen much in this in the snowy areas. I'm going to be attempting to go for a fast cycle here that's very risky and dangerous sometimes. So essentially, I cannot slow down.
Because these blocks are moving, rather than actually like sliding on them, Reiner's going to be doing a lot of short hops to try to get through this room as quick as possible. He wants to get this cannon. Alright, so we got to the first part. And then he sort of wants to get to this door before the ice blocks close on it. It's getting like the fastest possible cycle. But if you fall down and drop cannon, you kind of have to reset.
I thankfully got the fastest cycle. I did not destroy the last one. Oh, something I don't think I've mentioned that is that when I mash float, I try to mash the 2 button and the up button to get a slightly faster float speed. Just a very small movement attack.
You see that with wing as well. It's slightly faster to alternate like up and like jump as opposed to just doing one or the other.
Alright, so this one's a little bit tricky, kind of, I guess. Alright. So the puzzle usually you have to like go through it first, and because it closes so fast, you're not really able to get through it without going through a couple more times. But with fire, you can just kind of buzz through it. It's still sometimes tricky though to get there correct.
It can be quite a big time loss, especially on the third section if you don't make it and get cut off.
Yeah.
So we go down to this pit to grab the key, and then carry it through the room. There's actually a 2-player strategy where you can spawn with a player and then have the second player hold that key. But not gonna see that here. Actually, pretty smart movement there. Actually, going beneath that platform to like open the door and then floating above, so you essentially dodge the ghosts spawning from these like ponds.
This is one of the dark rooms. I just have no idea where I am half the time. So I don't know how to memorize it.
And you actually do need to specifically be keeping fire here, so you can break these blocks to get to the puzzle.
Okay.
And then the puzzle room, there's a couple different ways to do it.
Ooh, that was close. So that puzzle right there is a bit hard to do with fire, but can be done.
Yeah, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can damage boost to get through the first part, then do a burn. Reiner actually did the fast setup, which is just to do burns like right to the spikes. But yeah, like if you get hit in the process, like a room like this with all the moving platforms becomes way slower.
The intended strat there was to use ice. Alright, so...
It's like a puzzle where you're supposed to... We just sort of skip it.
Now we got the last sphere of the level, and we'll finish the level here if I can get to the door. My Wiimote's a little bit finicky with like the D-pad, where if I like try holding up and right, it sometimes just only goes up, or only goes right. It's a bit annoying. Oh yeah, this boss. I did the
we have Goliath.
I learned the fast strat. Let's hope I remember it.
Yep. So the easiest route is to use Ninja for this boss fight, but you can do it using fire as well. It's quite a bit tougher. It requires, or quite a bit more tougher. It requires some precise movements and timing and such. But it does allow you to keep burning or fire for 5-1, which allows you to save a bit of time at the beginning of that level.
Okay. So essentially what we're wanting to do is, on this downward section, is to use Inferno at specific times. Barely did not get a hit I wanted. Okay, this is fine. I can get another hit. Okay. Ooh, was slightly too close.
Right there, it goes into this corner, or goes into one of the corners that you can not in, that's the strike back.
He's so close still. Got it, okay, that was a very weird kill. I messed up slightly, but it should still save time over Ninja. And that's World 4. Goodbye, World 4. I'll miss you.
World 5, nutty, new, and very aesthetically pleasing world with some really good music. Very serene. And I would say definitely one of the worlds that escalates in difficulty a lot. Like 5-1 is not that bad, but I think the world gets harder as you go through it. Also finally get to use Wing, which is awesome.
Okay, I missed the unmute on the stream. Nice. Okay. Nutty Noon is the best named world in the game. Not one of my favorites.
Definitely.
Not one of my favorites. However, we do get introduced to Wing, like I already mentioned. There's a very scary room at the end of 5-1.
The last room in 5-1 is very precarious. You want to keep Wing, but there's a lot of spike balls, and you need to do some precise movement. Reiner going to have a bit of an advantage right here, because he did keep fire throughout Goliath, so this is quite a bit faster doing these burns than it would be doing if you're powerless. But then at the end of the room, he's going to ditch fire to grab burning.
Oh, you mean Wing?
Oh, sorry, it's grab to grab Wing. Wow.
Alright, Wing Lee. It's Wing Lee time. So, this is basically what the 80% runs.
Yeah, the 90% run literally mixes for Wing in 1-1 and carries it all the way to the final boss. Wing is an incredibly versatile ability.
Okay, doors, please.
Trying to get Alright, finally getting it.
I've not practiced Wing movement, by the way, so this might be bad.
Yeah, so Wing is very good in vertical rooms because you just fly very quickly, but also because of the wing dashes you can do, you still go quickly horizontal, and you can spam, it's not shuttle, I guess, yeah, spam shuttle loops to do very quick damage to bosses as well. So really, there's nothing that Wing can't do. It's good for bosses, it's good for movements.
Oh, yeah.
You want to, and you can see you can actually use it in this section to cut the strings, which is also pretty nice.
Wing can do it all, pretty much. I meant to do a run. Oh, I didn't even see that guy. Alright. I really wish I practiced wing movement, because it's pretty difficult in my opinion. Not here. there's a sphere somewhere to the left. in World 5, my memory for the game starts to heavily deplete because it's a long game. Alright, let me just get me back. Okay, this is a scary one. There's these boulders here, and they crush your ability, and you can't get it back. So, okay, I'm actually gonna play it safe by spawning these guys. Okay, I'm almost dead. Grabbing this cake. My goal is to survive. Please, give me... Okay. So, you're supposed to, like... There's a way to route... So, if you're next to an enemy and you press the, one button, you get, a freaking... Oh, what was it called? Like, you get, like, you can attack the enemy instead of, like, doing the dash attack. It's
Yeah,
very
you kind of like suplex the enemy and you waste a bunch of time as opposed to doing the dash that you want to do. So you want to avoid doing them right next to enemies, which occasionally can be kind of tricky.
You can actually,
annoying, miss timing.
if you stop holding the D-pad, you can actually avoid it. But I kind of forget that exists sometimes because the D-pad is slightly faster.
I don't even think I knew that.
Really?
So there you go.
Knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge.
Okay, so this room, I'm gonna be, there's gonna be another bomb we have to get, which is right here. I'm gonna be trying to make a specific cycle. It's not important too important to get, because you have to wait for the bomb to turn red anyway. Okay, wait a tiny bit. There we go. I'm grabbing fruit, because I'm baby, and I want to play it safe.
Yeah, and while you're holding a bomb, or really any item, you can't actually use your ability.
That was a bit.
Oh, that
was a bit scary.
So, yeah. This puzzle room, it's designed around getting bomb, then using the switch and then throwing bomb, like as a block. But instead of the well-timed wing dash, you can just skip through it. But yeah, if you bounce off it, you'll just hit the Gordo and you can potentially lose wing, or I think you can even get crushed by that door. I'm not sure though.
I think it pushes you out. So.
Okay. Well, don't worry about that. But yeah. Wing could do it all. Even skip out pretty much the only time you would use bomb in this run outside of the challenge at the end. And we're gonna see Ryder do some treble looping, which is essentially like a bunch of really fast loops in mid-air, which allow you to do some rapid damage to bosses. And then also, once you hit the ground, it spawns these like little waves that still do damage as well.
This is a very slow moving fight. Okay, I think I could have actually killed him right there. But... Oh, come on.
Because you need to get stone here, if you, like, depending on how the fight goes,
that was
like,
almost
you
bad.
lose ability from getting hit, or lose wing from getting hit, and spit the ability out for damage.
I almost grabbed wing and stone there, which would have been a reset.
Oh yeah, that would have been a reset. If you grab an ability you previously had and lost and a new ability, it will always give you what your old ability was. And in this case, there's no backups for stone, unless Reiner wanted to plug a second controller in the middle of this run.
I probably would do that. Like, I don't know what my other Wiimote is, but I'd find it. Yeah.
Reiner about to go off screen so we can find his other Wiimote.
Another mandatory stone usage. I believe this is the last time we use stone. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so, yeah. I think this is the third and final time you use stone. Yep.
I don't think it's here. Yes, it's not here. Health is low. There are a couple health points, or there's a couple foods you can get. Use for your health though, so it's not too big a deal. Yeah, like right here. You just get fed. Feeding Kirby.
Yeah, so you control flare beam, like from the ball that you spawn. So you're on Wiimote. Do you do it by like pointing the Wiimote, or is it just by like shaking it?
It's all with the D-pad. And
That's
it's
what I
very,
thought, and I
it's
think
very,
I got online, but I can't remember.
it's pretty difficult to control.
For context, Reiner and I both speedrun this game, but he does it on actual console. I've done it on emulator, so I do keyboard and other adopted the controls for some weird stuff. Alright, this rift is pretty tricky. There's a whole bunch of blocks, and there's one spot in particular where it's very easy if you to get caught on the wall behind you and actually get crushed. This area right here. So Reiner, yeah, he's gonna try to skip this without using the block, but if you get caught in the spikes, they can push you to the right and you get caught in there to die.
Okay. That went okay. Alright, we get Parasol again. This Doomer fight's scary. There's a lot that can go wrong.
Nabbing the gaps in the floor, or like where you can actually fall through, is pretty risky. The platform moves, and even if you just like don't die, like you get hits and you have Carousel fly off screen, not only do you lose a lot of time in 5-3.
Unfortunate.
But oh, okay, yeah. Unfortunately, not getting the quick kill, but at least not losing Carousel and not dying. Yeah, trying to do the quick kill on this particular one with the way the platform moves and the way that Parasol kind of just sort of hovers and floats in midair it's very tricky.
Yeah. There we go. Alright, that should be the end of the stage pretty much.
In 5-3, we have a really nice remix of Great Garden from Kirby's Adventure or Nightmare in Dreamland, which we saw last game.
Oh, I forgot to mention the kind theme in Level 3. I never, like, noticed it. Shouts to KDL too.
Oh, yeah.
This is the remix of Great Garden.
So this first room is very vertical based. You got wind pushing you left and right, and you gotta avoid the spikes. You essentially, unfortunately, losing Umbrella there. The arrow spitting out and attacking you. But yeah, you use these like rope essentially to climb through. Otherwise, the wind just sort of blows you away.
Losing Parasol there is a little unfortunate, but it's not too terrible, I guess.
Yeah. You'll actually have to get beams and backup for one of the energy spheres, but beyond that, it's not that time loss.
Beam is the intended route. I'm taking a lot of damage here.
There's a very cool two-player route that involves spawning Meta Knight and having the Kirby essentially backpack onto Meta Knight, who has the wing properties where you can fly vertically very, very quickly by alternating jump and up.
So I have to do this room without Parasol. Usually this room is free, but Parasol's a bit spook. Okay. Now normally you can use Parasol to like immediately kill this guy, but not a fan of my
You're not
health.
fast enough there, the key will fall.
Oops. Okay, not this first guy, but
So you have to break some blocks that are like behind some metal blocks here. So you can do it with Parasol, but the intended way is to use Beam, which can hit them through midair.
okay, I'm gonna play it a little bit safe because my guy is almost out of health, and I still got it.
Yeah, these things have a pretty absurdly long grab range, and they're pretty bulky too.
Very
You
bulky.
can't KO them, but they take a few hits, especially if you're gonna do power hits.
Playing this a little bit safe because I'm a one tap. Okay, we get high jump here.
So a few times you're gonna use high jump.
I don't think I mentioned this, but some high jump tech you can do is by pressing float and then I'm gonna miss this cycle.
So you essentially do a little exhale or puff after you use every high jump, which allows you to buffer the next one a bit quicker. Also, high jump is something you can charge. You don't really see much use of it because it is slow, but like you can charge it and then unleash, which gives you a stronger jump with a bit more range.
I'm gonna be playing this a little bit safe, trying to grab all the pizzas. Alright,
Yeah, we're gonna end this level also. There's kind of an energy sphere, which is pretty cheeky. They kind of just put it at the very end of the level, up in the clouds, making it very easy to miss.
This was an energy sphere I had to look up casually because I had no idea what it was.
But also you get to end the level with wing, which is pretty nice.
Yep. So we get to wing some more in 5-4, I think. This is 5-3, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is 5-3. So we're on the 5-4. For the first part of 5-4, we're going to be using wing, but we also have another mandatory boot section. So we're going to see more of that.
I really hate this wing section.
It's pretty tricky, honestly.
Yeah.
You need to pick and choose
Alright.
your wing gap carefully, especially with these Gordos, like so. Yeah. That's pretty much what makes this section tricky, because you can do it really slow. Like, you can just, essentially just doing wing, like flying, is the same speed you would have while running. So it is faster than jumping around, but it's definitely still slower than doing the
Okay, that's fine. Almost panicked there for a second. Oh, is it fine? Oh, please tell me this is fine.
No, I think you need the boot.
Alright, we're going back.
Yeah, I think you need the boot.
Well. Alright, this guy can't beat me. Actually, I might just take the death, honestly. I'll take the death. Because I'm almost already dead anyway. Alright, turn loss.
Alright, take two.
Take two.
5-4.
No wing this time.
This time, no wing. Reiner stronger than ever before.
Alright, boot time again. All the boot sections in my opinion suck.
Yeah, they're pretty slow, and it can be pretty frustrating to, obviously to lose the boot, but also find at times that sometimes the jumps don't input properly.
Yeah.
There's one section where you use the boot in the very last level in this game for Energy Sphere, and I think that one's the most Monka-S.
Oh yeah, that one can just... a lot can go wrong. Losing wing, honestly, isn't the worst thing ever. Like, it makes this section way faster, but it's not like a huge deficit. There's gonna be a boss up ahead we can grab burning for as well. I haven't lost wing there in practice, that's unfortunate. Yeah, we can grab fire here. So we get to do some cool strats against this guy. Normally you use wing and use diagonal cancels.
Thankfully,
Oh, I
Fire
was...
is a better backup to have for this one.
I was slightly too close. Yes, too close to 2.
The super bonkers fights are not fun. He's got a lot of health, and yeah, his attacks are kind of dodge.
Alright, now we got the super hammer, the grand hammer, whatever. I'm gonna be using this here and then not shaking the remote. This basically will just clear up the simple blocks of the enemies. I was about to grab that health, but then where it was. Do I break this one? I don't think I do.
Yeah, you do.
I do. I saw the door, so yep.
Yeah, this level of any percent is actually very short because you skip this whole hammer section and that door just takes you to the very end. So
this...
any percent of this level is like a minute. But it's like 5 minutes plus.
Oh, come on. Alright. I want to grab that tomato there because there's no health. Tomatoes totally heal you. Can't tell. I don't know why that happens.
This elevator section is kind of pretty much an auto scroller.
Yep.
The rift coming up is, I'd say, one of the trickier rifts.
Oh yeah, this is a rift that I'm just very bad at. I've always been really bad at.
Yeah, there's a lot of gaps in the floor. There's some cycles that you have to make. And it's very also easy to get crushed. So you can get crushed, you can fall off the edge, there's a lot there. And the Doomer itself is also very tough at the end.
Alright, fell immediately. So the cycle's already used up a little bit. Didn't mean to...
The first half is a little bit more forgiving because even if you go fast enough, you're forced to wait in a few of these sections. The back half is where you get the cycle, or essentially the door is surrounded by some blocks that open and close, and you want to get it all in a fastest cycle. If you're too slow, you have to wait, or worst case scenario, you get crushed in the blocks trying to enter the door.
Ooh, okay. That was sketch.
Because of the layout of this dimensional rift, it's actually got a very cool two-player strategy again, where you spawn Meta Knight, essentially just have Meta Knight treble loop and fly through it, and have Kirby just go on top of it. Oh, almost falling down there.
Almost got crushed, almost fell, all's well.
Yeah, this whole... You're kind of just permanently tense going through the section. And you use Spear. So the attack that you want to do for this Doomer fight is you want to do spear throws while you're running. So you see Reiner had kind of a run animation before he started doing his throws. You need to be careful because obviously if you get hit with spear, you can fall into the gaps, or you can fall into the gaps.
Yeah. How did that hit him? Please don't.
Oh, living on a sliver. Oh. My. Okay.
Oh,
and
I'm
now
supposed to.
actually want to keep
I'm supposed to
spear,
duff
so
orb.
you can just fall down.
Yeah, I know.
Reiner unfortunately didn't make it though. He got.
That was a bit smonka. That's a very scary Doomer fight. A lot can
Yeah,
go
that
wrong.
rift in the Doomer, I've lost a lot of runs. Because, you know, if you die in that Doomer, you're gonna waste like 2 minutes. Even in a rift, you're gonna lose a lot of time to death.
A very garbage 5-4. In 5-5 here is a bit of a throwback to
Boss Rush.
Boss Rush, which we saw in Niddle. Thankfully, this one's way better, kind of.
So yeah, and for 100% for RTTL and for any percent, you would just be doing all this with winning. And 100%, pretty much you're going to KO a boss with an ability and then take their ability to use for a puzzle or counter. So you're going to see Reiner start with Fire. He has a whole bunch of options here to begin with, but then he's going to be doing a whole bunch of ability cycling for all 4 boss fights afterwards.
Oh, this one's getting a little too close.
So this is another one of those cases where you want to time the Inferno right attack to get some vulnerability, but the timing is very, very precise. Gigant's edge could also kind of troll you. He has a few sections where you kind of just go invulnerable.
We want to juggle this ability a little bit.
Oh, right, yeah, you do the ability juggling. It's been a while since I've done some one-player strats, actually. Yes, you should do ability juggling to actually keep fire, because this is so much significantly better than sword for boss fights.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then you can actually keep fire over stone, because the next ability is one you need to break metal blocks, but you can actually do that with fire, so you don't even need stone.
A little bit low on health, but it's fine.
You get a small amount of health in the form of these cannons between the fights. but it can be a little precarious, especially if you take a lot of damage on Gigant Edge or Mundo.
We want water here. Juggling burning there is very difficult. And we're not impossible.
Yeah, you need water to break these blocks or to cool them down before you can break them. I'm not even sure if an ability juggle would be feasible here. Maybe like a task sort of thing. I feel like an RTA would be too awkward and slow to do.
Kill that guy a bit sooner. Really good, but whatever. Essentially, I just shake the remote there to get the quick plasma thing. I don't know what it's called.
Oh yeah, so Spark in this game sort of inherits some of the traits of Plasma from KSS, where you can shake via the remote and then like launch a ball of energy.
Mm-hmm. Alright, up next is a fight that I should have practiced but didn't because I was running out of time.
Grand Doomer, I think Grand Doomer is the hardest boss fight in this game. I think it's significantly harder than the final boss. It is scripted, but you have to do some very tight shuttle looping, and you get punched very heavily for going slow because the boss will give you a whole bunch of cycles where you can't even damage them. You just kind of have to wait it out. Yeah, so I think Grand Doomer is pretty brutal, and that's the first phase. The second phase involves juggling Wing with super ability, so that you can keep Wing going into World 6, but you need to use the super ability to knock out Grand Doomer.
Oh hey, we beat Grand Doomer.
Yeah, the cutscene wants to bait you out a little bit here.
Yeah, they bait you a little bit. Alright, immediately taking a hit. I'll try fixing this fight. Shuttle looping is very precise.
Doomer goes from one side of the screen to another. You need to be very careful because at that point, Doomer will, you'll lose your ability to get hit at that point. So at certain points in the fight, you can do damage boost, or other points you just want to be careful with your wing spacing.
First phase I guess is done. I could have done shuttle loop there.
Yeah, you can do a really quick hit at the beginning and end of that.
Oh, come on.
Also, something about, you can get extra damage from shuttle loops from hitting the grounds, which can be a bit, more deep in entrapment for people who struggle with shuttle loop. Because Grand Doomer is always flying, you pretty much have to do the actual shuttle loop in the air to get the damage off, which is another reason why it's tough. Alright, Reiner getting through that though with it. Still a decent amount of health. I think that you have a very low amount of health into this ability juggling, it can be kind of frustrating. So, has a bit of a safety net here. These enemies also can't spawn some health.
Oh, this is a bad... Okay, I lost me.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
That's... 6-1. Okay, that's a bit of a time deficit.
Alright, so the reason you wanna, so what you're ideally supposed to do is, do like the ability carry, where you carry Wing and then, just throw it every time you want to use Ultra Sword and keep juggling it. That allows you to keep Wing for 6-1. Unfortunately, especially because there's no real good backups for 6-1.
I think I got a really horrendous pattern there, so... And also I'm gonna lose time because I have to use the sword to kill him.
Also, yeah, it's the same. This and the final boss, if you actually finish them off using your super ability, it essentially doesn't extend the cutscene. Whereas you finish them off with a regular ability.
So this is a Warner exclusive cutscene.
Yeah, you essentially lose time doing a fancy kill by using super ability. You can do a lot faster just by using the regular ability.
Alrighty. I thought this is where the game ended when I first played the game, but it's actually not over. Not even close.
We are out of Popstar, and we are into, that's the first 5 worlds, worlds 1 through 5, and we are into Halakondra now, which is worlds 6 and 7. This is a pretty decent difficulty jump in the game, I'd say.
Where... Okay.
So, I mean, as far as the story goes, the idea is now that you have the parts of the ship, you can use the ship to go back to Magola's homeworld, which is Halakondra. So you're out of Popstar or like the Kirby world.
But you get attacked and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do I have the wing challenge yet? I don't think I do. How many
No, I think Wing Challenge is later. Actually, I think faster than Wing Challenge would be to go all the way back to Grand Gamer, because you have to do the animation of unlocking all the doors for the ability training rooms.
But I mean, you'd have to go through that.
You don't have to do that regardless, or you don't have to do that unless you win.
So everyone got
Oh,
burned.
there is burning here, actually. I completely forgot that you can get fire.
My problem is, I don't know burning streaks, so, pray. Praying is the name of this game. Oh, I tried doing it, but it didn't work. Okay, this room's gonna be some...
This room controls you a lot of moving Gordos, but they also have abilities to stand to sleep. So yeah, if you accidentally move into them, you'll get sleep and these blocks fall. So you want to avoid these abilities.
We already got sleep one stick. The sleep was in the middle.
Oh yeah. And ability stands in some of those older games, they don't actually activate if you have an ability, but they do in modern games. So they kind of use that against you to put abilities you don't want in situations. Or essentially it's obstacles. And now we have another cannon section.
Alright, I'm really bad at this.
These are very tight.
I'm very bad at this one, for some reason.
You need to bounce off this wall as opposed to going through it, but if you're too late, you have to reach the level, and if you're too early, you die. Okay, Reiner got it. But like it's not that hard to do, but it's so punishing if you're slightly too off. Like either having to reset a level or die. Like both of those are significant time losses.
Yeah.
Oh, and then right here, if you're very quick, you can jump into the cannon and get there a bit faster.
You can, if you have wing, you can avoid it, but I wasn't sure if you could do it with burning, so I wasn't gonna risk it.
Oh, that's true, right? Yeah, you wing's probably the easier way to do it. I forgot.
Ooh, okay, I got not a burning input, so taking it a bit slower.
If you have wing in this room, you go fast enough, you can get ahead of some of these electricity balls, like right here.
Yeah.
Requires some very careful movement, though. It's not easy to do.
Not risking it burning since I have no idea if it even works. Alright, we got an ability cannon right here. Which... Thankfully, or not thankfully, but because we don't have any wing, it's going to be a bit routine. It's faster to not use burning when you have invincibility control. Alright, coming up is the super section.
Super ability section. This time using Monster Flame. There's quite a few obstacles here. You need to be careful.
Getting hit by a missile would be very unfortunate. You can also do some damage boost that I kind of forgot about until then. I would just avoid it all.
Yeah, doing damage boost helps. The missiles will like put you sort of in a hit stun. It's a long animation for you to get out of.
This place right here would be a good place for damage boost. We want to keep our health somewhat full because the coming the dimensional rift section can be pretty punishing.
Yeah, the rifts for Halakondra are very tough. And a bit longer too, and also have a lot of high chance of things going wrong.
I'm just gonna try to focus on this area because I'm bad.
So you got these conveyor belts in the ground. Most of them will be pushing you backwards. So you want to be doing short hops in the ground so that you can go a bit faster.
I believe we get wing for the dimmer kite though, so that's at least free.
Or not wing, you get ninja.
Or ninja, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Don't think
a bit harder than the 4-2 one, but ninja still does make a lot of these gamer fights a lot easier considering how fast
Definitely.
you can do damage.
Oop, did not get it. There we go. That was a quick kill, kind of. I missed one hit though, so it wasn't the fastest it could have been.
Right there, the Doomer sort of charges up for an explosion, and at that point in the fight, they're taking a little less damage. They have like higher defensive, but you just want to be fast enough with your attacks that you can get them before they do it.
I missed the slide at the end.
Oh, wait, no more. You have one more use of stone, because we do use stone in 6-2.
You're right. I forgot.
player.
I just slapped my desk. I'm sorry.
I was wondering about that. Alright, so some interesting routing in this level.
Yeah.
Enter with ninja. You don't really use ninja, but you'll grab fire. You'll ditch fire to grab stone, and then you'll end the level with spark.
Bang
So play
rollers.
with a cycling.
I really like this song for some reason.
Hey, it's a catchy song.
Okay. Well, that's not what I need to do. Okay. So we're going to be using fire for a little bit this level. We're going to be switching our abilities a lot this level though, so don't get too attached.
This level, both for one player and two-player strategies, has tons of ability cycling for both rounds. It's a very cool level, honestly.
It's also very punishing if you miss anything. But,
Yeah, there's one very infamous section that some people who played this game casually might know
Alright.
at the end. The second last energy sphere involves using spark and a very, oh, and it actually went into the other spike.
that's honestly not that big of a deal. Just to get water right at the end.
Oh, yeah, so use water,
Please
you
don't
can use water or carousel for these blocks, but for the one-player strategies, water is better. Parasol ends up being the preferred route for two-player.
Okay. You already get stone again. This is the last time we use stone, I think.
I'm positive this is the last time.
I'm grabbing this because I'm a baby. Don't want to risk nothing. Okay, so if we get hit by any of these things, we lose stone and our dreams are ruined. So we need to keep stone.
You can't spawn stone when you're in water, so although you need to use stone, there's a section where you can essentially surface and then use stone to break some blocks. Right here, what Reiner's going to do is a damage boost where he hits the fish, gets invulnerable, allowing him to go through the Gordo. The Gordos would have to lose stone, but he's fine with the fish.
Alright, there's a fast way to do this, but oh, I should not have done that. I'm gonna hit it. That's fine. I should have waited a bit longer to do that cycle, but it's fine. Health here is not too big of a deal. Oh, I missed the jump. You can hit enemies with your head if you jump correctly, but
Those enemies that explode give you Crash, which we'll use one time in World 7. but
yes.
That's about it.
Is there any abilities we don't use?
Um,
I can't think of any.
Fighter is the only ability
Fighter.
that you don't use even once. I guess Mike as well.
Mike, yeah.
Mike could be used in this level. Like you can use Mike for this upcoming Kirby fight. That's what I did at first, but it's slower than it was. I guess Twitch we only use because of all challenge, or because of the other challenges. You don't actually have to use Whip in a regular stage. Oh wait, no, you do 7-1.
Yeah. Alright, this is a infamous part of the level. It's kind of tricky. I almost missed it. Okay, we're good, right? I think we're good.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah,
no, we're not good.
So you can do the plasma backup. Yeah, so you're gonna have to do the plasma backup.
Okay. I don't exactly remember.
I think, yeah, you just have to do it in that corner.
I think I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. So what you're supposed to do there is pretty much like a fast. You can do like an upwards or a downwards single spark attack as you go past, and you want to hit that block. If you miss it, you can still do a backup where you charge a plasma shot in a corner.
I'm playing
and
this.
Barely snipe from off screen.
I'm gonna play this really safe.
Yeah, you can go pretty fast here with the cycles, but you want to also avoid getting crushed.
Yeah.
You need to carry the key for this energy sphere.
And
This room is actually even more precarious, I think, at any percent, because it's still cycle-based, but I think it's like even tighter in terms of the cycles.
Probably, yeah.
Like there's one wing dash you have to do like immediately, and getting crushed is super easy.
Lost a lot of time in that stage, but it's fine. I'm curious, is there any way you can check my pace? Because I have no idea if I'm on pace for rest of
Like relative to your PB?
Sure, why not?
Sure, alright, I'll look it up.
Heck yeah.
Alright, so 5-3 is also going to start, 6-3 is going to start with the wind room. There is one energy sphere that if you go too fast you'll miss,
Yes.
and you'll free grab it.
Usually it's not that hard to miss it, but sometimes I just stop paying attention and sometimes miss it. But I should pay attention, really. It's not in this first round, it's in the next one, so... Okay, this next stream I need to just pay attention and not be dumb. But dumb is bad. Cool, got it. Ooh, okay, missed the door, that's fine. I'm gonna grab Parasol right here. Parasol There's actually a...
This one being the two occasions in the game where you have a double mini-boss fight. The other one being the double Grand Gamer fights at the end of 7-3. That's pretty easy because you can choose Parasol down to attack and melt them both. And we specifically target Mondo first because he can do an invulnerability attack which would waste time.
Yeah. Well, that's just one of those. For some reason. Go. Cool, pretty cool room in my opinion. Basically, you're gonna be constantly wanting to get down as quickly as possible. Yeah. Just trying to get through that as fast as possible is really fun. Alright, and with there would be my name. Forgot what I was gonna say. Nice. Making some of these cycles is a little bit tough, but...
Thankfully, super abilities, unlike like regular abilities, like unless you actually die, you're not gonna lose them from getting hit. And even if you die, you can at least do the room and re-grab the super ability.
Oh, yeah.
So there's less risk of losing your ability and maybe a bubble or anything like that. So. There also is technically a time limit for your super abilities. There's that bar, we haven't really talked about it, there's that bar beneath you, but you never really hold on to them in any case long enough where you would use them up.
Yeah. The bar is pretty much useless in speedruns because you're too fast. Alright, this place here is a little bit tricky. It's like water section mostly, and then
Yeah, it's in the water, but it's a pretty cramped compared to the other ones. You have these cannons as well as spikes and some other narrow corners. You do get some health throughout, which is nice. Ideally, the strategy is like certain cases you want to wait out the cannon shots. Certain points you want to position yourself so you can do damage boost forward. And then for the Grand Doomer, or no, I keep saying Grand Doomer. So for the Doomer fight for 5-3, or 6-3, we're gonna be using Hammer. And Hammer is honestly a pretty good ability in this game. Like it's like the strongest ability, so like, you'd want to use it for arenas. But just that unlike a Ninja, it has a little less availability in spots where you might want it. And it also doesn't have the best like move attack. Like, you can do a dash attack with Hammer, but it's not as good as anything like Wing or Burn.
I won't play
The units have the charge attack, which does a lot of damage. It can also be used to start firing cannons.
Alright, well, lost that. Okay, so we're only grabbing ice. So, this is the backup.
Each of the Doomers, or each of the worlds has a unique type of Doomer. So in World 6, you have Ice Doomers. In some worlds you have like, Fire Doomers, or World 5 is Electricity Doomers.
That was a bit rough. We're missing an intentional death here, anyway.
You also get back full health from doing this. There's tomatoes at the end anyway, so you'll get back full health at the end of it.
Yeah, no matter
what, regardless.
I messed up the very, like, first bit of that room and it kind of screwed up the rest of the fight for me. So it was...
Reiner, you are about, like, 2 minutes and 20 seconds behind your PB.
Behind? Alright. I lose a lot of time. I should be able... I can still get underestimated, somehow.
To be honest, Halakondra is such a variance, it's such a tough world, and this is a long category, so it's not very often you're going to get runs deep. I find that on any given run I can gold a bunch of stuff Halakondra if I'm playing well.
Oh yeah. I also didn't practice Halakondra that much since I had to quickly run, but...
DRS, a 3-hour long category.
Nope, my up input didn't go through.
Alright, got a dark room here. We're going to be grabbing fire to use the breaks in the blocks. You can't even really use it that much in this room because it's so cramped that in most cases you'll just bounce off the walls. You can only use it in a couple very specific spots of sort of long stretchaway room.
I could have used it there, but I can't really use this room. All I know is I need to go do the theory. And kill that guy. Okay.
And then at the end of the dark room, you essentially go past the door, which leads you to a secondary exit. Bit of a secret path.
Give me a dash input, please. Oh, doors. We run down this this downward section, get this inner sphere, and then...
yeah, it's slower than the base path, but it's
then we get a...
And then we're gonna grab Paracel here.
Paracel once again, the best ability, objectively. Okay, so gotta do a jump thing there. I'm trying to remember how to do this thing. Sometimes I miss it and I'm dumb. But if you throw it slightly too low, you lose your ability, and you have to use it.
This is a pretty cool strat, because ideally you do want to keep Paracel into this room, so you just sort of do a bit of a juggle and spit the other ability out.
I just missed the turn. Let's go around. I Actually, wait. I was right. I'm right. Never mind.
Yep,
It's
you're
right.
right. We're all good. We got this final eel room. Want to avoid getting eaten up by a bunch of these. This sometimes because the water's going fast, it's sometimes throwing you into a bad spot.
Thankfully, down B's really, or down one's really good. I'm actually gonna wait for this guy because I don't want to risk it. We're gonna be getting rid of Parasol here, though. Oh, actually, I could have used it for a couple extra things. That's fine. And I think it's this one. Or, yeah, okay. I did this level once, so my memory's a little bit wonky.
There's a cool two-player strat there that involves using Bandana D. You can barely hit the bomb block in the dark room, which allows you to keep Parasol a bit longer and avoid getting spark.
Okay.
Alright, now we're into the last level of World 6, which is honestly probably one of the easier levels, because most of it is pretty much an auto-scroller, where you have these rooms where you're pretty much just dodging a couple of obstacles. This first room is a bit tricky. These first two walls that Reiner is going to run up against, you really don't have any chance to get there beforehand if you're going to just go past them. But the very last one is kind of cycle-based. You can get through the whole thing in one go, or you can stop partway through. But if you're not fast enough, you'll get crushed. So, yeah, Reiner's going to play it safe. You're going to get a bit farther. But yeah, you can get through that whole thing in one go, but it requires some quick burning movement, and you can't have any hitch in your movement, really.
Alright, this is the little auto-scroller section where you get the pay attention still.
And there's 3 of these, and in each one there's an energy sphere that'll appear briefly during one of these cycles. So you just need to memorize where you need to be. And obviously you want to avoid getting crushed.
I almost got crushed. Kind of forgot which one this was.
That's what you meant. Why you almost got crushed. I actually cannot believe you lived that. Wow. Alright, so gonna be grabbing Wing here. I think this is the last time you get Wing, like, as an actual enemy. Last time you see a bird arm. Oh, never mind. It's a match 3. I keep forgetting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wing is important because you want to hold on to Wing for both, actually, are you doing Wing for for Metal
Yes,
General,
yes, I am.
Okay, so you want to hold on to Wing for both the World 6 boss and then also for a majority of 7-1.
I'm probably gonna fail it, but I'm gonna try it. If I
That
can...
Wing movement through the door there. I had no idea you were gonna flex like that.
Oh, dude, I always flex. You know me.
I'm slow and scared. I just go to the top time.
Dude, I flex and die half the time, but I am stupid. Alright, we're not doing that.
Okay, unfortunate.
Alright, we're doing ninja.
Alright, Reiner will now be doing the ninja Metal General route. Quite a bit easier at least.
Yeah, it's
Something
way
slower.
easier. Whatever. Oh, I hate not having wing here. Please go down.
Yeah, we're gonna grab one of those invisibility crystals to get through some parts. But that also makes this room a lot easier, because you're able to just go past a lot of the obstacles that would otherwise be there.
I always feel like I miss it when I go through this level. It's just so long before you actually find the crystal.
Yeah.
Alright, this is the last one. Wing actually really helps you. But, someone was stupid and got destroyed.
The energy sphere in this final one appears right before the door spawns. So it's not that hard to get, but it appears at the last moment.
I should probably stop doing random movements before I lose, because that's how I lost wing. Alright, and now we get the energy sphere right there. The door appears right here. Alrighty. So now you usually have wing through this part, and you can use it to show a loop to victory, but we don't have it right now.
In general, with wing, it's the optimal strategy, but it is pretty tough. So what Reiner is going to do instead is you have the option to grab Ninja before the fight. And Ninja with really high DPS and having the needles to attack safely from afar makes it a lot easier.
It's very easier, but it's slower, unfortunately. I not practice fight with Ninja, so hopefully it's not terrible. It shouldn't be that bad.
No, the good thing about this fight is even if you're like what I did when I first started learning this game is I didn't even learn to use the blade. I would literally just sit in one corner and just throw needles until that organ would die.
Nice.
It worked great. I'm just gonna say it worked great. I thought this was the easiest fight in the game.
Alright, that's the first phase down. This fight's way harder to win, holy crap.
The second phase is kind of tricky. He's going to start with middle general on the rocket, and you need to blow up that rocket before general goes off stage. Otherwise, you waste about 20 or so seconds.
Yeah, I waste a lot of time.
Yeah, it's significant. It's a lot easier to do with Ninja. Although the rocket kind of blows up in the process, so you have to grab it, unfortunately. With winning, you can still do it without too much problem, which requires some precise shuttle. And we're through. Alright, so we're on to the final world, World 7, which also only has 3 levels, but each of these levels is incredible.
Yeah, incredibly long and difficult.
And each one has 5 energy spheres as well.
Yeah, it's a torturous task.
All three have dimensional rifts, that's the final thing.
Yep.
So...
Alrighty. Not having freaking wing here is pretty dumb, but it's manageable. We can grab burning in this first room and deal with that.
Burning ends up being a pretty good backup. You don't keep wing throughout the whole level anyways, you have to get water for a puzzle involving some fire.
Yeah.
So yeah, World 7 is pretty much the fire world. There'll be a lot of lava, especially in 7-3, you have some burning small suns all over the place.
Oh yeah, 7-3 is very difficult. I learned it with wing, but even then I'm still not confident doing it.
Also, 7-2, we'll get there when we get there. But there's the only instance in this game where we actually do it for a mix.
Oh,
and what's really cool about that mix is there's actually 3 different abilities that work. I mean, there's of those 3 abilities, there's one you want most of all, wing. But you can also get either fire or tornado for 7-3, both of which will be faster than doing it either powerless with fire or anything else. Mixing in this game, unlike Nightmare and Dreamland, requires actually inhaling 3 different enemies with an ability. So there's an opportunity to do that at the very end of 7-2. We're still in 7-1, so we got some time, but I want to point that out. Also, because mixing in this game, the roulette wheel is completely random. It's one of the few instances in this game where there's actually like significant RNG.
Yeah. Like that's like the only one.
Alright, so knocking out this water Galbro, and then we're gonna inhale it so we can grab fire for the second energy sphere. Which is pretty tricky because if you lose water before you get it, that's pretty much another reset. I saw a demo who holds the world record for this game. He had to reset a run because of that. So yeah, use key and you're able to carry it through the fire and the water's ability.
Okay. Okay, please. That's not good.
So So yeah,
Please,
you want to
just
use
get on that-
water to
just get on
break
that.
the fire blocks, but if you hit a block that's already been cooled, you instead blow it up. And so if you essentially break the staircase too much, it becomes unusable. And the key will respawn if you burn it, but if you lose water, you cannot get it back. So if you lose water before you fully clear the path, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, it's a huge time loss.
It's one of those things that's not that difficult to do, but a big time loss this late in such a long run can be like very frustrating. Yeah, you're on a good pace, 2.5 hours deep, and you mess up a puzzle, and now you have to reset the level.
It's
and
very
it's, like,
frustrating. This
minutes.
game is very
It's very
frustrating.
bad, yeah.
It's very punishing, but still very fun.
Still a great speedrun though.
Yeah.
Still people want it.
Yeah.
And this third energy sphere is a bit tricky, so you're gonna be controlling this key D, and you want to touch some of these switches, but some of them you actually don't want to touch. They would harm you, like they would destroy the path the key D has.
Yeah.
Pretty much like a bait.
So we want to wait until the right.
It's like for this one, yeah, he's gonna wait it out.
Alright, that was good. That was didn't have to refresh the room. Oh, I forgot how long 7-1 is, or just all this world.
We still got a whole super ability.
Yeah, we do. Alrighty. Snowball is here.
Snowball is here for one more time.
We're gonna bowl some. We can, basically what we're doing is, cutting off the, attacks slightly beforehand. It saves a very minuscule amount of time, but if you hit a wall, it's a waste of time, all the time. So yeah, it's the same thing as, like, the last snowball, pretty much. Oh, I got a very weak, so... There we go. Now we get to become a snowball on a volcano. And destroy the volcano. Logic.
The dimensional rifts for World 7 especially are pretty long. Like each of these probably takes like 2 or 3 minutes to do.
Oh yeah. Also fairly challenged. Oh, I was not supposed to do this. Okay. It's fine.
First part of this involves inhaling a couple of large blocks so you can shoot them out and just dodging the electricity cannons. And then the final part of this, gonna avoid getting crushed through these pistons.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, not strat. My brain just lost all concentration apparently. Alrighty.
So the second one you're gonna completely wait out, and then the third one you can go quickly through it, but it is risky. You're just getting crushed. So I prefer to do a safe strategy.
I'm playing it safe.
Yeah, and Reiner's gonna do it too. So you can get to that middle part fast, but it is risky. Then doing a cheeky inhale right here, you're just gonna do the right side by positioning yourself in the way, so you save a bit of time there. And this is the only time in the run we're gonna be using a whip. They give you 2 abilities, but one of them is asleep, so they really only give you 1 ability.
Yeah.
for these Doomer fights.
Oh. Oh, okay.
The strongest move for the whip is pretty much like a down air attack.
Yeah.
You super it with a lower angle. It's pretty powerful. So you just want to position yourself so you can hit it right back there. But yeah, these type of spear demons just pop all over the place and launch projectiles like crazy. And you have this cannon at the bottom the whole time.
Okay, my health is not doing good.
It's a little precarious.
Come on, dude. I died! Are you kidding?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh, alright. Overestimate plug.
Alright, underestimate a Niddle, overestimate an R2DL. Balance it out.
It balances out.
We're gonna see this riff one more time. Uh-oh, reset happened.
Usually that Doomer fight's not that hard, but I'm bad apparently.
Yeah, the Doomers at this point in the run, they do have quick kills, but their patterns are set, but their attacks are so erratic that it's hard to be consistent.
Oh, I almost died there again because I didn't get the input. Hey, I told Todd that I was gonna choke RTDL, and I did.
Reiner, a man of his word, integrity,
Yeah.
integrity and speed, and ball goals.
Wow. Okay. That was a market, I guess.
There was one time in a run, I attempted to do that cycle like quickly, and I think I literally said to myself, I'm just gonna go for it. I don't care what happens, and I died.
Nice.
I still PB'd, but I lost like
You still
2 minutes
PB'd.
to actual.
Of course. Nice. Alright. This time it's gonna be free.
This time, Reiner ready to get it.
Okay. Already way better than last time. Still not great. Oh my gosh, these orb things are...
Yeah, the orbs can like not only like they hurt you, but like they also can block attacks at times. So especially like if you exhale your ability and try to shoot it out, and then you get blocked, and then have no ability.
I hate that cannon so much.
The cannon really messes.
Alright,
The cannon is. That barely killed. Alright.
Alright, that's 7-1. Yay. I did this level, I did the Doomer fight one time, and it went, like, perfectly. I'm like, oh, this is easy. So, really unfortunate that I died there. But it's okay, we have 16 lives.
Alright, so 7-2 is gonna start with an auto-scroller and an elevator.
Oh yeah, it's this level.
Pretty easy, but there's two things. First off, there's an energy sphere and the elevator. Don't want to forget that. I did forget it one time. Don't want to talk about it.
Don't wanna talk about it.
Didn't notice until I got the second energy sphere. I lost a PB pace run.
Nice.
The second thing you want to do is ideally in this auto scroller, you want to grab Crash and hold on to it. It allows you to skip a puzzle room, which you would otherwise do with Ninja. So there are a whole bunch of Crash enemies, so you have a couple chances to grab it, but there's also a lot of enemies on this elevator, and as well as some boulders that will crush you, so you do need to be careful. Also, I had no idea you could do that with Whip, that you can, like, hook an enemy and whip them out.
Oh yeah, you just hold it down. It's great.
Alright, I'm learning all the whip tech this round.
Of course. It's all you get from Reiner Speedruns.
Yeah. Yes, the energy sphere literally, or the platform literally pauses here because you get the energy sphere. I was on a run one time and I wasn't paying attention and I forgot it. So, otherwise this is just an auto scroller. It's pretty easy.
Pretty much cannot lose time there unless you royally mess up or lose Crash.
Yeah, losing Crash or really that's like the biggest mistake that you might actually commonly see.
The backup is Ninja, I believe.
Ninja is sort of the intended way to do the puzzle, but Crash allows you to sort of just skip it. This part right here is a bit tricky because you can't break these blocks while you're using Crash, so you essentially either have to wait it out, but if you're fast enough, you have to get rid of Crash, break the blocks.
Okay, yes. It did not give me my shake it, but alright, we're waiting.
Yeah.
We're already gonna be behind us, so.
I do a very specific two-player strategy here where I actually spawn Meta Knight just so I can use Meta Knight break those blocks without having to do an exhale.
Alright, and then we can just use Crash immediately and break that block. Which skips this puzzle.
Yeah, it's intended that like that big fire thing moves up and down like every once in a while, and you can barely get a needle in there as well. Because with Ninja, you can hang onto the wall like that enemy's doing. But Crash just hits the switch anyways, which makes it quite a bit faster.
Got that. Okay. High jump.
There's also a mix you can do for Crash that I saw at Demolition at Labs, but it only works if they can get Crash first in this roulette. So
Oh, I forgot this existed. Alright. I'm really bad at this. For some reason.
This area is very Monka-esque. You gotta...
Oh, I almost died.
You want to avoid getting crushed here.
I died here in the TV.
Oh yeah, you did. And also, the room after this dark room, is very tough. This very first part, if you do some well-timed high jump movement, you can actually get through there.
I'm
Like
playing
that,
this extremely safe. I don't want to die and lose it.
Yeah, I've died on runs trying to get over it. You just need very specific high jump movement to be able to make it cycle in time. Then you have this block with the spikes on it.
I lost height.
Yeah, you want to avoid losing high jump there, but you also want to be able to boost through it.
It's not the worst.
It's just
thing ever,
very
'cause
specific movement.
Oh no! Alright, go.
Alright, so we want to grab fire for this room, and then we're going to grab hammer for the super bonkers fight.
Alright, go. Oh, I just keep fire. This was...
Yeah, fire works too, honestly. I think hammer is technically more optimal, but it's probably more optimal if you do it with the, like if you know the timings for when you can do like the supercharged attacks and all that.
I don't know, I'm pretty sure Shagro does this. So.
I think he does. I thought he did hammer.
I have no idea.
I'm actually gonna look it up because I'm curious. Don't mind the commentators.
I'm almost dead. There's some damage boosting I need to do in this level, but I'm not gonna go for it because my guys.
You do get a bunch of health right at the beginning, actually. When you break some of these blocks.
Oh yeah. You're right. I'm gonna do that. And then damage boost. And then die somehow still. Oh, come on, give me a jump. Oh no. Okay. Trying to get... Okay, I'm not gonna do the damage boost because I'm running out of health. It's good. Pierce damage. Do I remember how to do this puzzle? I think I do. Maybe not. Okay. This should be it.
Nope, sure uses hammer.
Oh no.
That's what I did fire for a while, then when I most recently ran RTDL, I think I learned hammer. But I didn't even realize it was faster.
I didn't realize it was faster than either. So you go, so you get hammer and then switch to hammer again.
Yeah, you go from small hammer to big hammer, which is honestly kind of a dream.
Yeah. You get an upgrade.
This dimensional rift isn't like too tricky. You can get crushed in a few areas if you're not careful, or if you try to go for some like super or like fast cycles. But as long as you're playing it safe and consistent, not too much risk of dying, and you get Leaf for the Doomer fight, which is nice because Leaf is actually like a pretty decent ability.
Yeah, it's the Leaf fights. Okay, this one's not bad at all. Probably one of the easier sections, honestly.
Yeah, definitely one of the easier ones.
Watch me die now, I said that.
Yeah, I've gotten crushed on those little things before, like trying to slip through those platforms. It's not fun.
Oop. Yep. Okay. Oh, okay. Like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
My down input did not go through, apparently.
A lot of moving stone in this rift, so there are a lot of places you can kind of take clicks. Get pinched. That's it.
Alright, what's the death count so far? I've done it like 5. Are we including Niddle? Or I'll donate money for death.
How many deaths were there in Niddle? I can't even remember.
I think there's like 5 in the middle. There's probably 5 here too.
Actually.
I have no idea. I'll donate per death. I'll go back through and look. Okay, let's not.
Try Reiner. Going slow so we can donate.
Yeah.
Almost at the end of this rift. This last section is pretty easy. You hit a switch and you pretty much just wait for it to break the blocks and to retract. So as long as you're not on the wrong spot, you won't get crushed.
I really love the music to this game. You can't tell.
Yeah, I think Return to Dreamland has one of the best Kirby soundtracks.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
very strong throughout.
This one's not the 2. Alright. I want him.
Yeah, Leaf's quite a bit better than Whip and some of the other abilities you get.
Well, you can usually kill him before he does this, but you know.
And it is time for 7-2 mix. So
Oh yeah. 7-2 mix.
Reiner is going to ditch Leaf. He's gonna inhale 3 ninja abilities at once, and the order is completely random, both where it starts and what abilities are gonna be in what order. Reiner is hopefully gonna get either Wing, Fire, or Tornado. That's
take
best case scenario.
Wing.
But yeah, and also what he's gonna do is he's gonna home buffer, so he's gonna keep home buffering so that he can check what ability he has, and then hopefully if he lands on a proper ability, he can then mash the button to select it.
Oh, I barely missed Wing. Okay, that's Tornado. Okay, we got Tornado there. Completely,
Okay, nice.
pretty much completely random if you get it, and on what ability you can get. Wing there is the fastest, and it's actually
Yeah, like
way
there's
faster.
like a hierarchy of what ability is fastest. Like you do want Wing, but
Wing
getting
is-
any of the 3 abilities for this is very helpful.
Yeah.
Also, in 7-3, you will get Wing halfway through the level, so the routes will diverge. Yeah, Kirby as a series has a lot of RNG. In Return to Dreamland, a lot of Modern's actually void of a lot of that RNG because the bosses are usually set. This is one of the instances because the mix is completely random, which is pretty rare for Kirby. Usually it follows some sort of pattern or set trend. You also need to be careful here because all these stone blocks, Tornado can easily break them. But also, Tornado has a long like cooldown time, so if you're close to low grounds and you can just like slowly float to the bottom before you recover your jump. And the reason you want abilities, specifically like Tornado, Wing, or Fire, is you want an ability that can go through these like large, or these mini like suns, which otherwise destroy your ability and give you a lot of drop back.
Tornado's thankfully one of the easier abilities to use, and I just lost it. I forgot there's a cooldown to that.
Yeah, you see the cooldown, you have to sort of keep in mind that cooldown because you'll fall a bit after every tornado. So if the tornado too low to the screen, like you can die and such.
I was kind of expecting to lose my ability there, but usually tornado is easier.
So Reiner can grab Ice for this Dubier fight. Not great, but it's actually probably even better than Tornado because Tornado's really not good for boss fights. And then in the next room, he's gonna grab Wing, so the routes will end up better.
still getting tornadoes pretty good. And I missed the third.
By the way, if you don't do the mix, the alternative is to grab Fighter. You get it at the very beginning of 7-3. Fighter's charge attacks can go for the Suns as well. So it is like a decent backup, but as far as kind of Fighter goes, it's a lot slower than the other abilities. So.
Okay, bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, this Meteor Fight's really good if you have Wing, but really all the other abilities are kind of awkward for it because Dubier like floats up to the top of the screen.
I don't think it's that bad for Tornado.
It's not too bad, but I find Tornadoes just kind of weak.
Alright, grab Wing here, and hopefully we don't lose it immediately. Alright, I'm almost dead, so I might lose it immediately.
We have another boot section coming up, one of the trickier ones too. You're going to be bouncing on some suns and some fire pits, and pretty easy to die.
Yeah.
And this room is kind of hidden, it's behind this one sun. You have to
this boot section is not fun at all. Gotta balance on lava. And also I'm at 1 health, so I don't think there's anything actually damage me.
This boot section is also pretty long. You literally ditch your boot halfway through by breaking these blocks and grab another one. I've tried extensively. There's no way to be fast enough where you could not grab the second boot. There's no way to do it with just one boot. It's too tight. You can get very close though. It's almost unfortunate that you can't because it would be a cool thing to do and save time if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Alrighty. I kind of want those hot dogs. Alright, we're gonna wait for those hot dogs.
5 hot dogs
category,
2 hot dog category.
Alright, no more wing. I probably could actually wing's not a huge deal anymore.
Yeah, you can re-grab wing actually in the next room, but you're gonna have to do it while dealing with the key stuff.
But even then you get the like the sword ability next thing.
Oh, so right, yeah. I guess but yeah, for 7-3 and 2-player, you actually like have the one player you're playing, and the second player is like the ability. But
this place is very scary, and it used to be a huge run killer for me.
Yeah, this is an infamous section for anyone who's played this game casually and try to get 100%. You need to get this key through this room. It's really not that hard, like retrospectively, but again, at this point we're almost 3 hours deep into a run. If you drop this key, you have to reset the level, which it's a long level already. You would lose 3 to 4 minutes. It would kill pretty much any chance to actually get a personal best. So yeah, Reiner a bit slow there, so he's waiting with this one sun going past. Yeah, the key won't because the key came from another room, like it won't respawn if you break it. Then you also have to deal with these eels.
I'm taking this so slow.
Then the trickiest section I think is here, these jumps. Just kind of a small gap, can't be going too fast, can't be doing it too slow. But yeah, Reiner's through, and that is the last energy sphere.
Oh, I'm finally dropping frames. I dropped 50 frames, 7. It's doing good tonight. Okay.
Actually no, you have a super ability in the final boss fight, but the last super ability in the level. This section's pretty cool. You have pretty much all the mini bosses as like actual enemies, and I mean you can go around slashing them up. But we're just gonna skip them and go through as quickly as possible.
Using the sword is very. Water gallop rolling.
A lot of areas that are glowing around the map sort of can be destroyed, but it's not really that practical most of the time.
Kind of low on health. Okay. A little bit low on health, but should be fine if I can just not be done.
This rift isn't too bad. Like it's one of the harder ones. It's definitely the longest dimensional rift, though. And it has a double doomer fight, which we use water for.
Oh yeah, no, for that. definitely not hot dog. Just Kirby.
Shoutouts to Kirby. So yeah, so most of the risks in this game have some sort of gimmick, and the one for this is the suns. Can be pretty punishing at certain points.
Oh, that's close. Oh, that's fine. I'll get a health in one last heal before the Demon fight. Hopefully. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Oh, that's severe. Are you kidding,
wow.
dude?
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I want to be done. That was like very slightly too slow. Alright, whatever. So, if I did my calculations right, now we will be completely back on track as if there were no game switches. Smile.
Reiner, the hero we need is not who we deserve. Taking these dimensional rift depths for the sake of the stream.
Yep. That's it. We're done with that. I'm playing this safe. So once again, another rift I did once is like, yep, this is easy. And then now I die. I guess that's usually what happens with this game.
Honestly, yeah, I think anyone that runs long category, I mean, there's so much to practice, and so little time. Especially in the case of RTBL, you know, little mistakes can be very punishing.
Oh yeah. See, that's what you're supposed to, but something happened. Oh, I cannot time these things right. Alright, we get water here, and there's a couple cool threats to do.
This water is pretty good, actually, dealing with double demon fight. There is some pretty good stuff you can do in terms of the quick kills.
Alright. Okay, they both died right there, so that's pretty cool. Alright. So, I can figure out what pace I'm on. So
I can... Let me load up your PB again. Alright, I mean... We'll finish this level...
I don't know what I was about to do, but that was nice.
I actually thought you just quit stage. I actually thought you just quit stage.
I don't know why my brain is just like... That would have been... I don't know what muscle memory that was for, but that was not good.
Reiner's played too much KDL too. He just beats the ball. He likes control each frequency. Alright, so unique to 100% is not only getting all 120 energy spheres, you only get 1 90%. There's also some challenge stages on the lower star cutter that involve going through like rooms with certain ability. They only take about 10 minutes to do, not that hard either, outside of maybe item challenge. So we're gonna power through those quickly, end with wing, and then head on towards the final boss fights.
Yep. So these are gonna be the challenge stages. We got a bunch of different ability-based stages, which are likely obstacle courses where you're using the abilities to your best advantage, I guess.
Mm-hmm. You may have noticed throughout the game that after certain stages, when we get energy fears, they'll be like, you know, challenge stage has been unlocked, or a mini game has been unlocked.
This is what's been talking about.
Yeah, so we do all of them at once. Hypothetically, because you know you unlock Wing earlier, there could be potential for like grabbing wing at a certain point of the run, but unfortunately because the loads are so long and actually going to start takes so long, it doesn't really make sense unless to do them all rounds.
There are a couple of route changes you can do where switching the wing earlier saves more time. Like in so like you can also do in Metal General, like before Metal General, but I don't do that because it messes up my splits. Like I said, I have splits here, so I could have done it. But it barely saves any time anyway, so. Oh, please. Please,
You don't really get to see the lore Star Cutter throughout the run because it's more like a hub base.
Yeah.
You got mini games, you have these challenge stages, which are actually pretty fun to do. Like you can get high score, you can try to do them perfectly with all the coins, which is pretty much which Kirby Dream Collection like speedrun is, just doing a whole bunch of these challenge stages.
which I highly recommend. It's fun.
Very fun. It's pretty much like a 20-minute speedrun where you're just doing stages like this with a whole bunch of modern abilities. A really quick blast. Oh, that was very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to be very careful in this very last section, because if you do a water dash too early, you hit the fire on the ceiling, get burned, falls to the ground, and die. And there's no time to recover before that happens.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, I'd say most of these challenge stages are not too bad, but some of them definitely have chances to get like crushed in certain situations. But I think item challenge in particular can be kind of scary.
Oh, I don't know what most memory that was either, but whatever. This is one of the last. The challenge stages were one of the last things I practiced. So, and they mostly went well, but I think that learning thing has already passed. All right. So there's some tech here that we get to see exclusively with Bomb. As long as I'm not dumb, it should be pretty easy. Basically, you can do some cool stuff with Bomb. Oh, get over there. Okay.
Yep. This is the only time you actually use Bomb in the run. Technically, you would use Bomb in 5-2 for the puzzle, but we just skipped that by using the run.
Alright, I'm playing this a bit
This kind of
safe.
long run has to be taxing concentration, absolutely. There's so much that can still go wrong.
Oh yeah. Dying in these stages is actually a huge deficit compared to normal levels usually. So we want to just not die. Ever in these like challenge stages because it's just very obnoxious. Alright, high jump is next. There's not too much tech with high jump, except for like the float cancel thing, which basically lets you go higher for the same time loss.
Yeah, you don't get too many breaks. Really, the breaks you'll get is after you do the final boss of each world, you go into the cutscene and you're just sort of reacting through the text. And you have the goal games at the end of a level, which give you like a small amount of time, but it is like a pretty rapid pace.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially when you're actually in the levels.
Alright, we get to see high jump's downwards attack here.
Oh yeah, you can actually do downwards high jumps, unlike high jump in the previous game. You almost never have a chance to do it.
You get to do some annoying units with it. Oh, that's not what I'm meant to do. That's fine.
You need to be a bit careful here too, because you do these downwards high jumps, but actually no, it's in the next section.
I thought the game was just straight up froze for a second.
The ground is gone.
Yeah, right here the ground is just gone, so gotta be a little bit
If you go a little too fast or a little too close to the edge, you'll just kind of go plummeting downwards.
Alright. Don't say that, Todd. Alright, sword challenge is next. It's like one of the few times we actually get to like see like sword's tech, which
yeah, sword's a pretty cool ability, but you don't get to see it that much in the run.
yeah.
Pretty much any time you might need to cut something. That is about it.
Yeah, even then it's you can also use a cutter and wing, of course.
What what attack on sword you use to break the strings on the platforms is also important, because some of the attacks will like knock you backwards, but some of them you're able to still keep your speed while you go forward. So picking the right attack will allow you to get through there a bit quicker. So you can see Reiner's doing a down air there. If you do a forward air, you essentially just bounce backwards. You can kind of see he backed it up there. So yeah, trying to do an attack that won't actually knock you backwards is faster. So you have to cut through a lot of these strings.
Sword done.
Pretty clean movement, alright.
Next up is whip. We're gonna specifically end with wing because it'll be our next available ability then, and we can use it to save a tiny bit of time on movement before we grab ninja.
Whip is one of the probably the easiest challenge. Not a lot of risk of death.
It's a very short one.
Actually, in the second room, the first room, we're just gonna see like whipping some enemies going as fast as possible. In the second room, you're supposed to use whip to activate these elevators, but in most of the cases, it ends up being faster just to do floats in there instead.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna still click it just in case, but oh.
yeah, so if you mash here really, really quickly as well as dodging these crash enemies, it's faster than just taking the elevator. But getting hit does, waste some time. Same thing for this one too. This elevator moves faster, but I think it's still moves faster than the first one, but I think it's still faster to not take it. Only in the third elevator you actually take it to move rapidly.
Got hit by crash twice, so that wasn't very good.
Oh, getting crashed. Alright, now we have item challenge.
This is
item
the hardest
challenge
one.
is by far the hardest of the challenges. There's a lot of actual risk of death.
Yeah.
There's a lot of areas where you're above ground and you're constantly carrying an item. So whenever you're carrying an item, you can't do Kirby's float, so you actually have the chance to fall into a pit. So we start off with key, very simple. Boot is pretty interesting because you just ditch it and then don't use it.
Fastest way to use
you
boots is to not use it.
later, and I forgot that's not bad. So yeah, you just sort of skip boot here and just sort of jump.
This one I hate.
You have to use the cannon. You need to be careful that you don't jump onto these things before you actually break the block. Otherwise, you won't actually make it. Then you use cannon to go upwards. You need to make sure you break the blocks. Otherwise, you'll get crushed by the elevator.
Oh, I just okay. I just died. I don't know why. Okay.
Oh.
I thought it was on the other part.
Yeah. So unfortunately, yeah, I think even if you hadn't died, I think because you threw the cannon, you may have had to reset.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had to reset no matter what. Anyway.
You're definitely going to return to Dreamland 100% runner until you've lost a PB pace to dying on item challenge.
Oh, that's happened.
Yeah, I've had that happen. I know Demo's had that happen.
Shoutouts to Kirby Relay too.
Shoutouts to Kirby Relay.
Okay, I'm not gonna mess up.
Yeah, in this elevator section, you can also, when Reiner jumps down over, you can go a bit faster. Yeah, you can kind of like jump through it. Kind of scary to do. You don't want to fall in the wrong angle. Then again, here you can sort of just jump through and do some spikes if you want.
This one's the easiest one, if I remember correctly.
It is the easiest one. This is the one where I died on.
When you died on.
So yeah, like you're just jumping from platform to platform. Like in paper, it's really, really easy. But if you just mistime one jump, you're gonna have almost no time to react, throw your item, and back it up.
That's true.
And also, as dumb as it sounds, the thing that you're holding almost makes it look like you're floating. Like there's wind. I can't even explain it. Okay, so the skip you can do if you're fast enough, you can climb up the side of that fire pillar. And then what Reiner's going to do here is he's actually going to draw boot so that he can boost through here and then get through it a bit faster. So two different small little techs you can do in this room, both the fire boost with the boot, and then clipping through.
Ooh, we'll be way beyond estimate. I'm just now realizing, because there's still
So you have this challenge, which like wing challenge is about like a little more than a minute. Landia is about a minute and a half, and then the final like stage, not turnover, another dimension is like 8-ish minutes, depending on like less than 80 minutes if you can do it really fast.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah, as Reiner mentioned, we purposely do wing challenge last, because after this you're gonna go back to the overworld, head to the final boss, and the wing just speeds up the overworld movement a bit.
I'm playing this a little bit safe because I don't want to die and use fun. Like
You can dash through some of these fireballs with the wing with like really precise movements.
Yeah.
But
oh, I got hit.
definitely want to be careful.
Oh
Also,
my
it's
gosh!
pretty
Stop giving me combos.
Oh, getting back grab. It's pretty easy also to die in wing challenge because, especially in the back half, you do quite a bit of damage boosting. I had no idea you could not grab that switch and just boost it. I don't think I've looked at any videos of any of the lore Star Cutter challenges. So I'm literally learning new tech watching Mario right now. So I'm excited.
Alright, so now we're going back to dinner, or Dangerous Diner. Dinner.
Back to Dangerous Diner. Dangerous Dinner. So, there's essentially 2 routes for the final bosses. Most people will use Ninja, but some people actually use Wing, which hypothetically could be a bit faster than Ninja, but is
That was on
debatably a lot tougher to use. Oh yeah, Reiner grabbing Leaf by accident, but just gonna grab Ninja here. So the first boss fight, I guess the boss of World 7 is Landia. Not too bad, honestly. Just need to be careful about not getting too close on the attacks. Kind of like minding your distance, but being close enough that you can actually hit with the Ninja Blade and finding the sweet spot in the spacing.
Oh wow. Okay, that's probably something I should have practiced. It's been
Yeah, in that first phase, you want to stick almost like right where their tail is and just do a whole series of quick attacks. And you can knock out Landia before they really move from that right side. So in the fights where it also gets harder the longer you drag out, their attacks get more, just more sporadic and harder to avoid. And in the second phase, they're actually going to split into 4 parts. You can attack any of these 4 parts, they're just going to be moving around, they all do the same amount of damage, and you don't have to cover any of them.
What? You're so close to death. Just die. Okay. That was terrible.
Yeah, Landia is pretty tricky. At least doing it very optimally.
Alright, do you want to explain story stuff? Or...
Oh, sorry, pardon?
Do you want to explain story stuff?
Okay, yeah. So pretty much pretty much the whole game where we've been helping Magolor build his ship, get back to his home world, and defeat the bad guy Landia. Turns out what Magolor actually wanted to do was have you defeat Landia, take Landia's secret crown for power, and use it for himself. So, Magolor, whatever you want to say, the original twist of him.
Yeah.
And now we're going to team up with Landia to help take him down. So this section is really cool. As you can see, Landia split into 4 parts, and you essentially have the Kirby space section, you know, like a space shooter on Landia. The first 2 rooms are just long auto-scrollers. Not too hard. You gotta be careful about being crushed in a few spots. No, Reiner just had that happen to him. Very infamous clip in particular. Yeah, and then the final phase, or the final part of this auto-scroller section is a space shooter. And that's the first part of Magolor. This final like World 8, I guess you can call it, is pretty much split into 3 different sections. The auto-scroller section, the first Magolor boss, and then the second boss.
Okay. This is the second half of the auto-scroller.
You can't, as far as I'm aware, you really can't save or lose time in the first 2 parts of the
No,
auto-scroller.
you can't.
I think even if you don't knock out those enemies, they just leave the screen and you transition at the same time.
Unless you die.
Yeah, the only thing that can happen is if you die, you will, I think, restart the auto-scroller from like whatever stage you are, like 1, 2, or boss.
Okay,
And that's a pretty hefty time loss, and like there is kind of a high risk of it because there's a lot of spots you can be crushed. It's just about being consistent with your movements.
Okay, this next one is the one where I question a very
Yeah, because Reiner has a habit of sticking on the far right side of the screen. And he's when you knock these switches out, the platforms rapidly move, and Reiner got caught in it one time. Gosh.
It's very good.
Yeah, this part in particular, at the very end, I think is the scariest part. I just feel like it's very easy to get caught in the corner.
Oh yeah, I never died there,
died.
but it's still spooky.
Like, yeah, this is the section I've never died on that I think I fear the most. And I've completed this game like 24 times. Like, I've never died, but I'm always worried if I just get caught in a corner and don't make it, I'm gonna get crushed. You would lose like a minute and a half at that point. Alright, so this fight against Lord Starcutter, essentially you can charge up your shots from Landia by shaking the Wiimote. So what Reiner's going to be doing is pretty much shaking the Wiimote constantly while releasing a barrage of charged shots. First phase isn't too bad. In the second phase, if you do it quickly enough, you can get a special cycle. Where it's in second phase, they're going to go off the screen if you're not fast enough. So that makes it a bit trickier.
Oh my gosh, I'm shaking so
the ship flashes and then it's vulnerable again. And ideally, you can knock out the ship in here before it becomes invulnerable and goes off screen, as it's doing right now. But it requires like very
and also
fast,
damage boost right here to get a little bit extra damage.
Yeah, you can actually go, because also the charge shots will also shoot backwards too. So you can go there, get a bit of damage, and then finish them off as they run to the screen. You maybe move up 10-15 seconds to the very fast Lore Starcutter. But yeah, that's the space section.
And 30 seconds.
And
30 seconds for Behind Estimate. Yay.
Yeah. So the final boss is separated into two different forms. So time will not be on this final boss, will be on the one afterwards.
Yeah.
What Reiner's going to be doing is for the first section of this boss fight, you're doing it all with Ninja. It's not too bad despite being the final boss. You're able to really much melt Magalore with Ninja. And then the second part of this fight is going to involve multiple ability juggles. So you have to use multiple different super abilities while people Ninja. At least to do this as fast as possible. Also going to shout out this boss thing to one of the greatest boss things in the Kirby series.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. First phase, I guess, is done. I guess there's 3 phases.
In many of these phases, if you wait long enough, Magalore will go to like back to the screen to attack. So really, it's just about doing it as optimally as possible. In this situation, he does this sort of like black hole. You can't really, you just have to wait it out. And then about 10 or so seconds, Magalore's going to go to the side of the screen and do one large charge attack. Ideally, you knock him out before he does that, but even if you don't, you can just go for it. So now, Reiner, to set up the ability juggle, is going to like ditch Ninja and then put it in his hands. And then he's going to knock out the ability while it's still in his hands. That way he like is able to safely bring it with him. Oh, and just barely too slow. So unfortunately with Magalore, you need to be very quick with the ability juggling. Because like in a situation like this, if you don't get it the first hit immediately, he goes to the back. And unfortunately, yeah, he's gonna miss the second hit too.
Oh my gosh! I forgot.
And it's,
I forgot the...
Yeah, doing ability juggling, but also being quick enough to get the fire shots off whenever
I literally did this fight last night. I don't know why.
Just that is hard.
I did this fight last night. I don't know to bring anything else in. Okay, so basically we have to hold on to Ninja for the entire fight. Last second.
Yeah, the first 2 hits you have to use Monster Flame. Then you're forced to get rid of it, and throughout this whole time, Reiner's still going to be juggling Ninja. Now you have to do 2 hits using Flare Beam. And then finally you end the fight with the Ultra Sword. And also, just like the Grand Duma fights, if you actually end the fight by KOing Magalore with the super ability, it plays a cutscene which waits about 12 close to 20 seconds. So ideally you finish off Magalore just using Ninja, which doesn't play the cutscene and it's a lot faster.
Yeah. One more. Does he teleport over here? I think he does. Nope.
Yeah, if you're fast enough on the sword grab, you can do it before Magalore goes in the background. What I saw Yujidon do, and Yujidon was the person that invented the one-player two-controller strategies and got it on the leaderboard, is I saw him do this like again.
I got a slide input instead of a drop. Okay. Alright, now we get rid of this. Grab Ninja. That's the first phase done. First quote-unquote phase.
So yeah, just finishing off with Ninja just instantly plays the death animation. If you do it with Sword, you have to shake the Wiimote for about 10 seconds, and then Kirby literally slices him about like a dozen times. And it just wastes so much time despite how cool it is.
Alright, this is the true final boss, I guess.
Yep. And
last
this is
time is on last hit.
with Ninja. So time will end on the final hit of this boss. Like pretty much all bosses in this game will be 2 phases, where I think the second phase will trigger once you're about at their halfway health point.
I was slightly too slow. Okay.
Yeah, if you're fast enough, you can deal the first phase before Magalore does this attack. So when he's in the background, you can't hit him.
Ooh, I didn't want me to do that.
So while he goes towards the front of the screen, you can hit him, but you want to avoid getting hit by his sword and dropping Ninja in the process. This fight is pretty easy with Ninja, but it's infinitely slower without it, or if you have to do it powerless. Also, you don't get much health here, it's random. You'll get health, but no health here. Just dying. Okay. Oh.
It's literally okay. Time.
Okay.
That run was awful.
I didn't know if you were gonna die or not.
That run was awful.
Alright, GG.
I was still 4 minutes away from my PB, even with all those deaths. That's funny.
Give it up for Reiner, ladies and gentlemen. Done 2 runs back to back. More than 4 hours of pure Kirby speed.
Oh, that was fun. I'm really tired though. Alright, I'm guessing Todd will probably want to push along the run, the next run, since I'm behind estimate. But, thank you, Todd, for allowing me to run 2 games, in fact. I wasn't supposed to run 2 games, but whatever. Stay tuned for Final Fantasy VII. Pretty great run. Pretty great game in general. So stick around.
Final Fantasy run coming up. I'm gonna plug myself because I'm doing Kirby's Dream Land trilogy tomorrow. So if you do want to see more Kirby speed running, I'll be doing that at 5:40 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes, Joe, check out Hybrid's run tomorrow.
Yep. But now we got Final Fantasy. I think it's Final Fantasy 7 into Final Fantasy 9. And Final Fantasy 9, I believe, is the speed run is going to be 9.5-hour estimates.
Oh dang.
Yeah, that's pretty much the one speed run that'll occupy like the whole night slot as far as
I didn't even notice that.
Aware.
Rioner, thank you for running those 2 games back to back. Appreciate you coming through in a clutch like that. And what a fun run that was. I've actually never seen a full run of that game. So is that on Wii? Did I get that right? Wii U. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get us set up for sleep time. It's like we don't sleep here at TACOthon. We've got some fantastic Final Fantasy VII, best game ever created, for you next. And it's going to be Sir Dubbington giving us the New Game Plus run. Stay tuned, you're going to see us cheat and beat the game way quicker than you're supposed to. Until then, enjoy the music. I appreciate your patience.